Moving to the big city is scary, but our girl Xiao Xiang is ready to conquer the world with her books. But first, she has to survive living with her glamorous and slightly chaotic relative. Her older sister is super sweet and promises to take care of her every need. Our little nugget is feeling totally optimistic about this fresh start. She's determined to study hard and become the ultimate top student. But the peace doesn't last long when a group of wild friends crashes the party. They want to head out, but they can't leave our poor heroine home alone. Xiang'an tries to be helpful and tells them to go have fun without her. Big mistake, they decide she needs a total big city makeover right now. Boom, our nerdy girl is transformed into a total bar-hopping baddie. But she's way out of her element and refuses to even touch the alcohol. She eventually makes a run for the bathroom just to find some peace and quiet. Looking in the mirror, she barely recognizes the girl staring back at her. Disaster strikes when she loses her balance on those absolute killer heels. She's going down hard and there's no stopping it. Say hello to our mysterious and incredibly handsome male lead. This guy has the face of an angel and the most captivating red eyes. She manages to stammer out a thank you while her heart pulls a marathon. Back at the table, she can't stop thinking about her knight in shining armor. There he is again. She wonders if he actually works at this place. He's a total sweetheart and even checks to see if her shoulder is okay. Seriously, is every single guy in the city this ridiculously handsome? But let's be real, none of them compare to this perfect beauty right here. He notices our girl sitting all alone and decides to make his move. Another guy tries to pressure her to drink, but she stays firm and refuses. Red Eye steps in to save the day with a special drink just for her. Plot twist, it's just fruit juice. This guy is officially a certified gentleman. He gives her a secret wink and tells her to visit him again soon. Finally, it's time to drag her hot mess drunk friends back home. The city is chaotic and loud, but maybe it won't be so bad after all. But wait, our mysterious hottie is definitely hiding a dark side. He's actually looking for a target. Is our poor heroine in serious danger? Who is he really, and what are his true intentions for our innocent girl? Our girl finally steps into the lion's den of her new high school. The teacher immediately starts the Hunger Games of seating arrangements, making everyone pick a number. Xiang'an is already stressing about her bad eyesight and how she's going to take notes from the back of the room. Suddenly, someone slams into her like a freight train, and it definitely wasn't an accident. The culprit is this cold-hearted hunk with earphones who doesn't even offer a "my bad." He just kicks his chair out and tosses his bag like he owns the place, showing zero respect for anyone's personal space. Our heroine is absolutely fuming, ready to throw hands if she wasn't currently in the middle of a survey. As she passes out the feedback sheets to her fellow classmates, she reaches out to hand one to the resident ice prince. He's just sitting there looking pretty and acting like she doesn't even exist. But when she tries to get his attention, he snaps at her with a terrifying glare, telling her not to touch him. Our poor girl is left stunned, wondering what on earth she did to deserve such a savage reaction. The paper drifts to the floor as she realizes that city life is full of people who clearly skip their morning coffee. Sometimes you just run into the most hateful types on day one. Meanwhile, the teacher announces the new class president, and of course, it's a total heartthrob named Yang. While all the other girls are busy swooning over the new eye candy, our girl gets slapped with the title of vice president. She's not exactly thrilled, giving off a glare so intense that her classmates think she's a future dictator in training. Later in the teacher's office, she's stuck doing paperwork with the new president. Yang is already having a mental breakdown because the girls won't listen to him, but Xiang'an has zero sympathy for his tears. While checking the roster, she spots a familiar name, Yaoling. It clicks that rude guy from earlier is the one sitting right behind her. She's so disturbed by this revelation that she slams her desk and storms out to clear her head. She heads to the bathroom to wash away the frustration, but she walks right into a classic mean girl confrontation. They're cornering a poor girl named Xiao Wen, calling her a mute and accusing her of stealing boyfriends. One of the bullies delivers a savage slap, making our heroine's blood boil. The lead bully calls the girl disgusting, and Xiang'an has seen more than enough. She decides to play a little trick, shouting about a teacher coming to scare the pack of hyenas away. It works perfectly, and the bullies scatter like cockroaches while our girl plays it cool, washing her hands like she didn't just save the day. But she can't help but notice the nasty bruise on Xiao Wen's face. After school, Xiang'an is just trying to enjoy her juice when she spots the same trio of bullies lurking near the gate. They're plotting a full-on ambush for Xiao Wen as soon as she leaves. Not on our girl's watch. She sprints over and grabs Xiao Wen, inventing a fake meeting to get her out of there safely. Xiao Wen is confused, but the bullies are even more annoyed that their target suddenly has backup. They back off for now, but they make sure to leave a parting threat. Xiao Wen is beyond grateful for the save. She gives our girl a sweet smile but warns her to be careful. She admits this isn't her first time being the target of such chaos. As Xiang'an watches her leave, she spots a familiar face in the distance. It's that mysterious guy again, but this time he's being flirted with by an older woman near a bar. But the drama doesn't end there because as soon as Xiao Wen is alone, the bullies pounce again. They corner her with a wicked "what a coincidence" as Zio Wen clutches her bag in terror. The alarm blares, and our girl Zio Wen is definitely not a morning person, hitting snooze while her mom is already busy in the kitchen. She's forced to dive straight into her English studies, looking absolutely thrilled about it, not. At P, the whistle blows and the teacher tells them to get to work. But the boys are way more interested in the school's queen of flowers, Zio Wen, who's standing right there. They're hyping each other up to go grab her number before she can escape. The boys make their move, acting all shy while asking for her digits. Zio Wen looks totally overwhelmed and desperate for an exit strategy. She spots Zio An and sprints over, begging to practice together just to shake off the fan club. Our heroine catches on instantly, grabbing Zio Wen's shoulders with a "don't worry, I got you" energy. They walk away together and Zio Wen finally looks like she can breathe again. But of course, the mean girl trio is watching from the shadows and they do not look happy. As soon as a teacher calls Zio Wen away, our poor heroine is forced to leave her new friend alone. Zio Wen watches her go, clutching her chest as that familiar anxiety creeps back in. The bullies waste no time cornering her, making it clear she's not getting away this time. Zio Wen's life is a mess, especially with a mother who cares more about status than her daughter's safety, telling her to avoid filthy classmates. Zio Wen can only nod and endure it, even as the bullies are already planning their next move. The girls demand she leave the school and things turn savage when they start throwing kicks. Zio Wen is pinned to the ground, getting her hair pulled and being called every name in the book. In her mind, she remembers Zio Wen's kindness, but right now she's all alone. Finally, she finds the strength to push past them, desperate to escape the nightmare. The bullies are hot on her heels, screaming at her not to report them to the teacher. Zio Wen ducks into the infirmary, hiding behind the curtains and praying they don't find her. She's bruised and crying, begging for someone to save her. That's when she notices a silhouette sitting on one of the beds. She looks up to see a cool guy with glasses who's clearly been watching the whole drama unfold. He stares down at her huddled on the floor, then casually walks to the door to face the bullies. The mean girls are suddenly terrified, stammering about just looking for a person. He shuts them down instantly, telling them no one is there and letting Zio Wen finally relax. Meanwhile, Zio Wen is out on the court, looking around for her missing friend. Nana tells her that she saw Zio Wen heading toward the infirmary. We get a glimpse into the trauma Zio Wen carries, rumors about her seducing friends' boyfriends and being a bad girl. The verbal abuse from her old school was relentless, with everyone calling her names just because she was pretty. She was completely isolated, surrounded by a sea of hate. Zio Wen wakes up from the nightmare, trembling in her bed. She looks at her calendar where she's written a simple, heartbreaking goal: to find one good friend. Back at school, the boys are still crowding the door just to get a glimpse of her. Zio Wen is busy studying, but even she admits that if she were a boy, she'd fall for Zio Wen too. Nana is busy being her chaotic self in the mirror, when Zio Wen nervously approaches them. Taking a huge leap of faith, she asks them if they want to grab lunch together. Our girls are gossiping about the upcoming school orientation, and of course, the mood is already chaotic. But our girl Xiang En has bigger dreams, specifically becoming a belly dancing sensation to win everyone over. Her friend quickly shuts down that delusional fantasy with a swift, soul-crushing chop to the head. As they head out, the girls are buzzing about a legendary name, the one and only senior Bai Ran. Xiang En freezes, her heart doing backflips as she sprints toward the cafeteria like her life depends on it. She pushes through the crowd, desperate for even a single glimpse of the school's golden boy. And there he is, looking like a literal angel descended from a shoujo manga. Bai Ran isn't just a pretty face. He was the student council president who ruled the school with a smile. Xiang En flashes back to their middle school graduation where he stood under the spotlight looking absolutely ethereal. Every girl in the room was swooning, but our poor heroine was a nervous, trembling wreck. She was practically vibrating with anxiety while the other girls were busy heart-tying his every move. The crowd swarms him, begging their favorite senior not to leave them forever. But Xiang En manages to catch his eye for one life-changing, heart-stopping second. With her face turning a shade of red that should be medically impossible, she finally gathers the courage to speak. She asks the ultimate question: if she studied her heart out, would he actually like her? The crowd is absolutely savage, calling her a fool for even thinking she had a chance. But then he reaches out and pats her head with the softest, most devastating smile. He tells her to do her very best, but then drops the ultimate bomb by calling her his little bro. Xiang En feels her entire soul leaving her body as she slowly fades into the abyss of pure embarrassment. Back in the present, she's still haunted by that traumatic memory and screaming internally. She's so stressed she accidentally slams her papers onto the desk of the grumpy guy behind her. He's absolutely livid, demanding to know what mental case is responsible for the mess. She turns around, sweating bullets and trying to act like she isn't dying inside. Meanwhile, her classmate watches the chaos unfold with a totally blank, judgmental stare. The school bell rings with news that the student council is holding a meeting this Saturday. Xiang'an's eyes light up because she knows this is her one shot to finally see Bai Ran again. She grabs her friend Xiao Wen, begging for a massive favor to fix her look. Xiao Wen is a total sweetheart and agrees to help our girl with a legendary glow-up. Saturday arrives and Xiang'an is waiting at the gate, looking like a completely different person. She's rocking a frilly, adorable dress that screams, "Notice me, senpai." It turns out Xiao Wen spent a lot of time picking out the perfect outfit to make her look stunning. Xiang'an is so grateful she could cry, heading into the meeting with a new sense of confidence. As she enters, the room goes quiet because nobody recognizes this cute stranger standing in their doorway. Even the class president is clueless, rudely telling her to move because someone else is sitting there. Xiang'an is internally screaming because her own classmate thinks she's a monster in disguise. Suddenly, Bai Ran steps up to the front, and her heart immediately starts racing out of her chest. He introduces himself alongside Zia Chun, the elegant drama committee member. Zia Chun keeps it professional, explaining the strict requirements for the orientation programs. The class president is struggling with the paperwork, so Xiang'an sees her opening and offers to give him a hand. She nervously approaches Bai Ran to hand over the reports, desperate to leave a good impression this time. He looks at her, and for a second, it feels like the entire world just stops moving. But then a random guy chimes in, gossiping about some pretty girl named Tong Xiao Mei from class 2. Bai Ran shuts it down immediately, calling the shallow gossip completely meaningless. He gives a small, polite smile, leaving Xiang'an standing there in a total daze. As the day ends, she's feeling pretty unlucky about how the encounter went. Suddenly, a car pulls up way too close, and she nearly gets hit in the middle of the street. A glamorous, intimidating woman steps out of the car, and things are about to get very complicated. Our girl is standing her ground against a mean girl who parked illegally, and she isn't backing down. The rich brat tries to act high and mighty, but then a familiar face shows up to return her purse. Wait a minute, our heroine recognizes those eyes. It's the charming guy from the bar. She points him out immediately, but the mean girl is already clinging to his arm, warning him not to be nice to a country bumpkin like her. Instead of siding with the truth, this guy actually tells our girl she should be the one to apologize. Our heroine is absolutely fuming. She can't believe he's just a corporate puppet for his valuable customers. She demands to know why she should apologize when the rich brat is the one who broke the rules. The lady starts throwing a tantrum, asking if our girl even knows who she is. Our savage heroine doesn't care about her status and whips out her phone to take evidence of the illegal parking. She threatens to report it to the police, finally making the mean girl retreat in a huff. As the red car speeds off, the guy tries to play it cool, saying his service attitude is just a way to attract customers. He pins our girl against the wall in a sudden cave done, offering to serve her to her heart's content. Our girl isn't swooning. She asks if he'll be obedient if she pays him enough, then stomps on his foot and walks away like a boss. Back at school, things are just as chaotic in chemistry class. The students are struggling to hold in their laughter as the teacher accidentally wipes chalk all over his bald head. When it's time to form groups, the teacher forces the mysterious Yao Ling into our heroine's group. She's not happy about it, especially when the teacher leaves the room and Yao Ling immediately tries to ditch class. Our girl accidentally spills her experiment while distracted, but her eyes are on the prize as she spots Yao Ling sneaking out. She catches him on the phone and demands he get back to class, claiming her authority as vice president. He literally pushes her aside, telling her he doesn't give a care about the group being punished. Our girl's eyes glow with a thirst for vengeance. She's going to make him pay. The next day, Yao Ling gets called to the office, looking totally confused. The teacher explains that a member of his group reported he was out for a health examination. Our heroine hides behind the door, listening as the teacher delivers the devastating news. Apparently, Yao Ling has a chronic case of hemorrhoids. The teacher even offers him some ancient medication for the painful condition. Our girl is absolutely dying of laughter outside the door, savoring her victory. But the mood shifts instantly when another girl receives a cryptic, threatening text message about who she really is. Our girl says her goodbyes for the day, but realizes she's a total airhead and left her math notebook in class. She's gotta head back, but she has no idea she's about to walk into a den of snakes. Inside, the mean girls are busy trashing her, calling her average and claiming Xiao Wen only keeps her around as a green leaf to look better. They're literally saying she's only there to make the flower shine. Our poor heroine overhears every single toxic word and her heart just sinks. She remembers the first day when boys were tripping over themselves just to get Xiao Wen's number. Back then, she was the one pulling her friend away from the thirsty crowd. But to those guys, she was just an annoying nobody. Xiao Wen seemed to appreciate the help at the time. But now Xiang'an is starting to believe the gossip. The whispers continue, and she starts wondering if she really is just a prop for her friend's beauty. Is she actually just a background character in someone else's story? She tries to stay positive, telling herself she's just here to study. After all, as long as her crush, Senior Bai Ran, is around, nothing else matters. Suddenly, a drink is shoved in her face. It's Xiao Wen trying to be sweet. She bought Xiang'an's favorite milk, but the atmosphere is beyond awkward. They stand there in a silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. Xiao Wen tries to tease her, but our girl just fakes a smile and says she's tired. Xiao Wen admits she's terrified of failing her upcoming performance. Xiang'an, being the loyal friend she is, pushes her own insecurities aside to comfort her. Xiao Wen finally beams, feeling much better thanks to our heroine's pep talk. Later that night, they head to the assembly hall for rehearsal. While Xiao Wen is busy on stage, Xiang'an tries to get some reading done. Of course, another guy shows up to bother her for Xiao Wen's contact info. But before he can push his luck, Senior Bai Ran swoops in to shut it down. Our girl is absolutely starstruck seeing her knight in shining armor. And get this, he actually remembers her from the Saturday meeting. She's turning into a literal tomato because he noticed her even with her glasses on. He sits right behind her and her heart is doing Olympic-level gymnastics. She's convinced this is the best night ever and wants to make a lasting impression. But as she watches the stage, the reality of the situation hits her. Xiao Wen looks like a literal goddess under the spotlights. Xiang'an slips out to the hallway only to hear more girls gossiping. They're convinced Bai Ran is only there to see the pretty Xiao Wen. They think the two of them look like a perfect match, and our girl feels like a total third wheel. The jealousy is real, and she can't even look at herself in the mirror. She feels like she's disappearing into the background. The next day, the walk home is filled with a heavy, unspoken tension. Xiao Wen waves a cheerful goodbye, completely unaware of the storm brewing. Xiang'an tries to call out to her, wanting to finally speak her mind. But she loses her nerve and just watches her friend walk away. She stops in front of an optical shop, staring at an ad for contact lenses. Maybe if she changes her look, she'll finally be seen. She thinks back to the way Bai Ran looked at her. But her daydream is cut short when she spots a familiar popular guy at a cafe. He's in the middle of a massive blowout with a girl who has a serious attitude. This girl isn't buying any of his rich boy charm. She tells him his looks are useless and that everyone actually hates him. When he tries to grab her to stop her from leaving, she delivers a savage kick and storms out. Our girl is shaking in her boots as the edgy queen walks right past her. She looks like a total badass and Xiang'an is officially intimidated. But then the girl drops her card holder on the ground. Xiang'an picks it up and tries to call her back, but the girl has already vanished into the crowd. She takes a peek at the ID and finds a photo of the popular guy looking genuinely happy. Wait, why does she have this? She looks back at the guy in the cafe who now looks like he's lost his entire world. A strange feeling washes over our heroine as she realizes their drama is way more intense than hers. She stands there alone, wondering what kind of secret she just stumbled in. Our girl Keela is losing sleep over a mysterious photo. She's agonizing over whether the girl in the picture is a friend, a girlfriend, or just a client, eventually throwing a fit and forcing herself to sleep. The next day, it's finally time for the big school ceremony. Keela peeks through the curtains like a proud stage mom, giving Wen Kayan a massive thumbs up before her big moment. Kayan takes the stage looking like an absolute angel. But of course, a wild hater appears, trying to poison Keela's mind with toxic rumors. This freckled girl claims everyone only hangs out with Kayan for the clout, and that she's just pitying our poor heroine. She's laying it on thick, acting like she's doing Keela a favor by warning her. Keela isn't having it and asks if the girl can even see her properly. The hater is totally confused, but Keela is just getting started. She points to her own eyes and takes off her glasses for the ultimate dramatic reveal. She declares that she'll judge Kayan's character with her own two eyes, not through some petty rumors. Then she drops the mic by calling out the hater's low IQ. Savage, the girl storms off in a huff while Kayan, who heard everything from behind the curtain, is moved to tears. We see a glimpse of the past where Kayan was bullied by these same girls. But Keela was the one who reached out with a drink and a smile when she needed it most. Kayan is beyond grateful to finally have a real friend who believes in her. It's a total friendship goals moment that makes her school year goal finally come true. Fast forward to PE class where the girls are chatting about food. Kayan realizes she's missing a skipping rope and heads back to the field alone. She finds it near the storage room and heads inside to put it away. Suddenly, a shadowy figure laughs and slams the door shut. Our poor girl is officially locked in. Back in class, Keela starts to worry when Kayan doesn't return. Meanwhile, Kayan is losing her mind, banging on the door and screaming for help. To make matters worse, she realizes she left her phone in the classroom. Just as she's about to give up, someone hears the commotion. It's the resident cool guy Yiling, and he is not amused by the noise. He tries the door, but it's completely stuck. They immediately start bickering over Keela's name like a chaotic married couple. She asks to borrow his phone to call for help, but then hits a massive snag. She doesn't actually know her bestie's phone number. Yiling can only facepalm at the sheer stupidity of the situation. Now they are both stuck waiting for a miracle. He suggests calling her parents instead. But Kayan remembers her mother's cold warnings about not causing trouble at school. Fearing the lecture, she claims she forgot their numbers too. Outside, Kila is on the hunt and isn't giving up. She spots the mean girls looking suspicious and knows something is definitely up. She's heading to the office to get some answers and save her friend. Kilo is frantic, realizing the classroom is empty, but the phones are still ringing. Our girl realizes her bestie is missing and starts searching the school grounds. She checks the field, but finding nothing, she sprints toward the last place left, the storage room. She hears a voice from the shadows and realizes Kayan is actually trapped inside. But the plot thickens when she hears the word "we" and realizes Kayan isn't alone in the dark. When she finds out the icy Ling is the one locked in with her, our girl's imagination goes into total overdrive. She pictures him as a literal devil bullying her poor, sweet friend. Kila vows to save her from the beast no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, inside, Yiling is just casually handling business on his phone like it's a normal Tuesday. He complains about school being a total drag while Kayan watches him with those big, curious eyes. She asks him if he really hates being here that much. He admits school feels meaningless and assumes she must hate it even more since she gets bullied every day. But Kayan surprises him, saying she used to hate it, but everything changed when she met a real friend. She gives him the most wholesome smile, hoping they can both look forward to the future together. The cold night air hits and our poor heroine lets out a tiny sneeze. Before she can even complain, Yiling pulls a total K-drama move and tosses his jacket over her. He tells her to put it on so she doesn't get sick, acting all tsundere about the whole thing. Kayan is absolutely swooning, clutching the coat and thanking him softly. Back on the outside, Kila is running like a knight in shining armor to stage a rescue. But in her rush, she slams right into a solid chest. It's none other than the student council president, catching her before she faceplants into the floor. Talk about a dramatic encounter, he holds her steady while she stares up in shock. He asks why she's in such a rush, and Kila's heart is doing backflips. She's so flustered she drops her glasses and starts scrambling on the floor like a chaotic mess. She finally manages to explain that her friend is trapped and she needs the keys. He breaks the bad news that the office is already locked, sending her into a fresh panic. But the president is a pro. He grabs her arm and tells her the guard room has the master set. He offers to go with her, flashing a smile that could melt butter. They manage to get the key from the guard just in time. Kila doesn't waste a second, jamming the key in to liberate her bestie. The door swings open, and Kila is relieved to see Kayan is safe and sound. Yiling, on the other hand, just looks annoyed that his quiet time was interrupted. Kila immediately goes into Mama Bear mode, accusing Yiling of being a savage bully. But Kayan quickly shuts that down, explaining he was actually super kind and even gave her his coat. Kila realizes she totally misjudged the situation and stands there feeling like a complete clown. As they all part ways, the girls wave goodbye to the president. It turns out Kila and the president live in the same direction, and she's trying her best to stay calm. He leans in close, making her brain short-circuit, and says she looks incredibly familiar. She bows deeply, introducing herself and thanking him for the help. Then comes the bombshell. He invites her to go to karaoke with him tomorrow. Our girl is over the moon, promising to be there on time as she skips away. The president watches her go, still wondering where he's seen that familiar face before. Back home, Kayan gets a little lecture from her mom about being late, but she's too dazed to care. Safely in her room, she looks down at the jacket she's still holding. She realizes she forgot to give it back, but she isn't even mad about it. She's just soaking in the happy vibes from her chaotic day while Yiling heads to the store. He spots a girl working the counter at the convenience store. And when he finally takes off those glasses, he reveals the face of a total heartbreaker. Our girl is absolutely done with this boy's nonsense as he shows up at her workplace with a $1 million smile. He's begging for some Odin while she's just trying to clock out in peace, clearly not amused by his sudden appearance. He has the audacity to claim she's slacking off, even though he's the one hanging around instead of being at school. He tries to play the sweet card, claiming he only came because he was thinking about her, but she's not buying the charm. Our heroine goes full savage, threatening to literally perish right in front of him if he fails another grade and drops out. Yiling actually looks a bit stunned by her intensity, promising he won't let her die as long as he's around. But even his cutest cat tier Egeo won't work on her, and she sends him packing for the night. Fast forward to Saturday, and Kila has spent 3 whole hours getting dolled up just to impress the president. She's walking into the karaoke bar with butterflies in her stomach, wondering if this counts as a romantic date. But the second she opens the door, she realizes it's a massive student party, and she's definitely not the only guest. Her heart sinks as the guys cheer for the schoolgirl arrival, making her feel totally out of place. She tries to play it cool, declining a turn on the mic while realizing she totally overthought the whole situation. Even so, she tells herself that just being in the same room as the president is a win for today. But watching him be the center of attention while she sits in the shadows is a total mood dampener. She eventually slips out for a breather, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the noise. But things go south fast when a group of creepy guys corners her in the hallway, calling her a little girl. They're getting way too pushy, trying to drag her into their room to sing whether she wants to or not. Just as she's about to panic, a hand suddenly snatches her away from their grasp. It's Yiling, and he pulls her into his chest with a protective grip, calling her baby in front of everyone. He glares at the creeps, asking her why she took so long to get back to him. He marks his territory with a cold stare, claiming she's his girlfriend and making it clear they need to back off. The punks realize they've messed with the wrong guy and decide it's time to leave. Once the coast is clear, he lets go and lights up a cigarette, looking every bit the delinquent he is. Keeley is baffled, wondering why he's even at a place like this instead of working his usual shifts. He's surprisingly chill about it though, listening to his music and ignoring the chaos around them. He tells her he's heading back in first, but not before dropping a warning. He tells her to be careful because this place can get messy for a girl like her. She heads back into her own room, feeling a strange mix of relief and confusion. Even looking at the president doesn't give her the same butterflies it did just an hour ago. Later that night, she stops by a convenience store to grab some groceries and clear her head. To her shock, the cashier is the same red streak girl from before, but this time she's actually being super nice. The girl even offers her a little cat toy for her points, leaving Keela wondering if she has a secret twin. Back at her desk, Keela tries to focus on her studies, but her mind is a total mess. She finds a photo of Yiling in her drawer, looking at his smiling face and wondering who he really is. Monday morning brings the math quiz results, and Keela is fuming over missing a single point for a perfect score. Meanwhile, Yiling is sitting there with a pathetic 37, looking like he couldn't care less. In a twist of fate, the teacher assigns Keela to be his personal tutor to get those grades up. After school, she slams her paper down on his desk, demanding they get to work immediately. He's acting like it's a huge chore, claiming he has better things to do than sit through a lecture. But then he suddenly pulls her chair, grabs a pen, and starts solving the problems with insane speed. He finishes the entire test in seconds and tosses it back, casually apologizing for a past misunderstanding before walking out. Our girl is left stunned by his sudden change in attitude. But then she looks at the paper and realizes he got every single question right. She's left standing there in shock, wondering how a genius like him could possibly be failing every class. Our girl is walking home, punishing herself with extra laps for a simple mistake. But her workout is cut short when she hears a violent shout coming from a dark alley. Peeking around the corner, she sees a boy being absolutely cornered by a group of thugs demanding cash. Even covered in blood, he's got that savage energy, spitting right in their faces and denying he owes them a cent. Things are about to get ugly, but our heroine isn't just going to stand there and watch. She blasts a police siren sound from her phone, sending the cowards running for their lives in a total panic. She rushes over to the boy, horrified by the deep cuts on his face. She tries to call for an ambulance, but he grabs her arm with a firm grip, refusing to let her get help. He insists he's fine, but our girl isn't blind. He looks like he's been through a blender. He scolds her for meddling in his business, but she's not about to let this mysterious bad boy bleed out on the pavement. She pulls out a stack of cash, asking if she can buy 15 minutes of his time to make him stay put. He looks at the money with a cold, hollow gaze, seemingly unimpressed by her wealth. He finally smirks, agreeing to her deal, but warns her that his time is expensive. She drags him to a pharmacy, but when he claims he doesn't even know how to use the medicine, she realizes she has to take charge. She tells him to sit still and stay quiet while she gets to work. As she carefully dabs his wounds, the atmosphere shifts into something much more intimate and quiet. He lets out a small wince of pain, earning him another stern scolding from his accidental nurse. It's a chaotic first meeting, but she handles him with surprising gentleness. Once the 15 minutes are up, she tries to hand over the rest of the money. She tells him she'll pretend this whole encounter never happened since he helped her once before. She can't stand the idea of just watching someone suffer without lifting a finger. But as she turns to leave, he pulls a classic move and sneaks the cash right back into her hood. He doesn't want her charity. He says the bandages she applied are more than enough. He disappears into the night, leaving our heroine standing there completely stunned. The next day in class, our girl is completely checked out, her mind stuck on the boy from the alley. She's dying of embarrassment, wondering why on earth she tried to buy his time like some dramatic protagonist. She can't stop replaying the way he looked at her in the dim light, especially that moment when he touched the bandage on his forehead. He seemed so lonely, and she wonders if she accidentally crushed his pride. She's so lost in thought that she doesn't even realize the teacher is standing right in front of her. The teacher calls her out, and our poor heroine freezes. She has absolutely no clue what's happening on that chalkboard. She's sweating bullets, waiting for the inevitable humiliation in front of everyone. Suddenly, a boy behind her whispers the answer, saving her from total disaster. She blurts out the answer and manages to escape the teacher's wrath, though she's still totally flustered. After class, she's tasked with handling the attendance records for the day. She notices a name with a shocking number of absences. It's the mystery boy Yiling. Realizing he was the one who just saved her in class, she can't help but feel a bit soft. She decides to be a total bro and erases his absences from the record, giving him a clean slate. Later that day, her friend spots Yiling breaking the rules and smoking behind the school bushes. Their hearts drop when they see the student council president heading straight for his location. The friend is terrified Yiling is going to get caught and punished. She rushes out to distract the president with a random question about the arts festival. But Yiling doesn't even try to hide it. He just stands there with his cigarette like a total rebel. He blows smoke right at the president and tells him to move out of his way. The president stops him, and it's clear these two have some serious, painful history. He looks at Yiling with pure disappointment, asking what could have possibly turned him into this person. Yiling just scoffs, mocking the president's high and mighty status and low-profile attitude. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as the president grabs him by the collar, desperate to reach his old friend. It's a tragic sight when you realize they weren't always enemies. They used to be the golden duo of the basketball court. Yiling isn't holding back, calling out the president for the betrayals that forced him to repeat a year. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as he walks away, leaving our girl Keela and Kayan absolutely stunned. The president tries to play it cool, telling the girls to just get back to class like nothing happened. Naturally, the school gossip mill is already spinning at Mach speed because that fight was way too fierce to ignore. Kayan reveals the tea. Yiling was actually in the same grade as the president before he had to take a year off. Keela is dying to know how they even know each other, leading to a flashback of when Kayan tried to return some borrowed clothes. Back then, Yiling was just as cold and mysterious as ever. When asked why he was wearing an old uniform, he dropped the bombshell that he'd been sabotaged. He claimed he was betrayed, which is a pretty heavy accusation to throw at the perfect student president. Keela is torn because she doesn't want to believe the president is a villain, but she knows Yiling isn't a bad person either. The girls end up in a tiny spat over whose side to take. Our poor heroine is left totally confused, her brain short-circuiting over who the real bad guy is. She tries to drown out the drama with studying, but her mind is a total chaotic mess. While wandering the halls, she spots Yiling looking suspiciously broody. That's when she notices the bandages on his arm and wonders if he's been getting into more fights. Before she can sneak away, she starts connecting the dots about his secret life. But of course, Yiling catches her staring and immediately starts teasing her with that Sprite nickname again. He's a total savage, roasting her for her terrible math grades while she fumes in frustration. Meanwhile, the rest of the school is buzzing with rumors that Kayan confessed her love to the president. Some mean girls start trash-talking Keela, calling her a lowly attendant who doesn't belong. Yiling overhears the gossip and decides to cause a little chaos by turning the classroom fan to the max. Papers fly everywhere, effectively shutting up the bullies in the most dramatic way possible. He just sighs, clearly over all the high school pettiness. Later that night, he heads home to find his sister, who is just as prickly as he is, waiting up with a bowl of noodles. The sibling energy is strong as she nags him for being late yet again. She tries to hide her schoolwork from him, but he's already clocked that things are stressful at home. Yiling looks absolutely exhausted, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He struggles to treat his own wounds in the mirror, proving he's not as invincible as he looks. Suddenly, the seasons shift and the autumn chills start to settle over the campus. Keela catches a cold, sneezing her way through the morning breeze. She realizes that fall has officially arrived, bringing a whole new set of problems. The students are tasked with cleaning out the old school hall, which is basically a recipe for disaster. Everyone is hauling heavy boxes and climbing rickety ladders. In the middle of the hustle, someone bumps into a ladder and things go south fast. A massive box starts wobbling at the very top, ready to crush anyone below. Keela looks up just in time to see her life flash before her eyes. Kayan screams a warning, but it's too late to move. Panic erupts in the hall as students rush over to see the damage. Keela is on the ground, shielding Kayan, but both of them are covered in scratches. Kayan has completely fainted from the shock, looking pale and broken. Keela tries to move, but a sharp pain in her leg tells her she's in big trouble. The president arrives on the scene, his perfect composure finally breaking into pure terror. He immediately scoops Kayan up in a bridal carry, shouting for someone to call a car. Keela desperately wants to go with them, but she can barely even stand. The president tells her to stay put and head to the infirmary because she's bleeding too. She's left behind, watching her friends disappear while she trembles in the cold. After school, our poor girl is limping alone, trying to get an update on the hospital situation. She feels incredibly guilty, thinking the whole accident was her fault. Just as she's about to give up, a familiar voice asks if she needs help. She nearly jumps out of her skin, seeing Yiling standing there like a ghost. She tries to act tough and claims she's fine, even though her leg is shaking like a leaf. Her body betrays her and she starts to collapse, but Yiling's reflexes are top tier. Without saying a single word, he swings her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. He demands to know where she lives, making it clear he's not letting her walk another inch. Our girl is currently being hauled around like a sack of potatoes, and she is absolutely not here for it. Yiling has the audacity to ask if she can even walk, threatening to dump her on a mountain if she keeps complaining. Naturally, Keela is dying of embarrassment because being carried like a piece of luggage in public is not exactly the vibe she wanted. She's desperate to get to the hospital to check on Kayan, but there's one tiny problem. She has zero idea which hospital they're actually at. This leads to a chaotic loop of I don't know and where do you live that would drive anyone insane. Finally, they make it to her place, where her cousin opens the door and immediately jumps to the most scandalous conclusion. One look at the handsome guy standing there, and the cousin is convinced our heroine has finally landed a boyfriend. The cousin is practically vibrating with excitement, while poor Keela just wants to sink into the floor. She aggressively shuts down the rumors, insisting she barely knows this guy and he's just a random helper. The cousin is low-key disappointed that this visual masterpiece isn't sticking around, while Keela shows off her battle scars. As Yiling prepares to leave, our girl actually manages to squeeze out a sincere thank you. But in true bad boy fashion, he crumples up a piece of paper and chucks it at her face. It's the president's phone number. While the cousin is busy swooning over his mysterious exit, Keela is already trying to dial the number. She waits by the phone in her pajamas, but it's just radio silence on the other end. She can't stop thinking about how the president was only worried about carrying Kayan to safety. She feels totally neglected, but just as she's about to give up, the phone finally rings and scares the life out of her. It turns out Kayan is going to be just fine, and Keela can finally breathe a sigh of relief. She flops onto her bed, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. But then the guilt hits her like a truck. She feels incredibly selfish for wanting the president's attention when her friend was the one who got hurt saving her. She hides under the covers, sobbing and calling herself a total loser for these petty feelings. Meanwhile, Yiling is out in the night, looking like a total vibe while smoking. Our girl catches up with him and tries to play therapist, asking what exactly went wrong between him and the president. She suggests that if they were ever friends, they should just talk it out instead of being so dramatic. She looks him in the eye and tells him that deep down, he's actually not a bad person. He just smirks at her words, calling her a complete fool for being so naive. Later, Keela finds herself standing in front of a massive mansion that belongs to Wen Kayan. The scale of the place is absolutely insane, looking more like a palace than a house. She's greeted by professional maids who usher her inside like she's royalty. She finds Kayan resting in a bed that probably costs more than her entire life. Kayan is thrilled to see her, assuring her that her injuries are just minor and she'll be back in class in no time. Keela tries to apologize for the accident, but Kayan won't hear it, claiming she'd save her unconditionally every single time. They share a sweet moment holding hands, but things get heavy when Keela asks where the rest of the family is. Kayan's face falls as she explains that her parents are always too busy to actually be home. It's a heartbreaking realization for our heroine. She realizes they both share the same hollow feeling of being ignored by their parents. Even though her mom just deposited a massive amount of money into her account, she hasn't received a single phone call. Money can't buy family love, and the silence is deafening. We then cut to a nightclub where the atmosphere is completely different. Girls are throwing themselves at the staff and the drama is peaking. Yiling is working there looking savage in his uniform, but the piece is short-lived. Suddenly, someone bursts in shouting that enemies have arrived to trash the shop. Yiling doesn't hesitate for a second and jumps straight out of a window to avoid the chaos. As Keela is walking home in the dark, she hears heavy footsteps behind her and starts to panic. She ends up bumping right into someone in the alleyway. She's ready to throw hands, screaming at the person for not watching where they're going. But it's just Yiling again, looking stressed and out of breath. She asks who he provoked this time, but he tells her to shut up and stay still. With the pursuers closing in, he pulls her into a tight embrace and whispers a quick apology. He hides her face against his chest to keep them both from being spotted. Our girl is frozen in shock as she's pulled into the most dramatic, high-stakes hug of her life. The guards are literally inches away, but this mysterious bad boy decides now is the perfect time for a high-stakes fake-out kiss. He tells our girl to stay absolutely silent while the guards dismiss them as just another couple making out in the dark. Once the coast is clear, he finally lets her go, but he's curious. Who exactly did a girl like her offend to end up in this mess? Before she can even process the near kiss, the guards double back, forcing him to grab her hand and make a run for it. Keela is losing her mind, wondering why on earth she's following a complete stranger into the night. She demands to know why he's dragging her around without a single explanation. But then, the mood shifts completely when he pulls her into a sudden, tight embrace and whispers a soft thank you. Our poor heroine is frozen, realizing his chest is surprisingly warm and his heartbeat is steady. It's a feeling of peace she's never felt before, even making her realize how different it feels compared to a hug from her mom. Naturally, her tsundere instincts kick in and she shoves him away in a total panic. He's left looking completely bewildered as she stands there with her face glowing bright red. Without another word, he decides to head out first, leaving her alone with her chaotic thoughts. Later, he meets up with a friend at a convenience store to discuss some shady debt collectors they managed to dodge. He mentions that a random student helped him out, which shocks his friend since he usually finds everyone at school totally annoying. He admits that this girl was actually pretty fun to play with and had an interesting vibe. When pushed for a name, he stares off into the distance, looking totally smitten. He finally says it out loud, her name is Keela. Back at home, our girl is tossing and turning in her pajamas because her heart just won't shut up. She's obsessing over every detail of that mysterious guy, unable to get him out of her head. Suddenly, it clicks. The uniform he was wearing belongs to her very own school. Realizing she's been hugged by a fellow student makes her blush even harder as she replays the moment. She tries to play it cool, but she's already decided she's going on a manhunt to find him tomorrow. The next day at school, Keela is busy helping out in the meeting room, but things are already going south. A bossy senior starts power tripping, demanding Keela handle the name lists and refusing to listen to her side of things. The senior even has the audacity to call her lazy for making excuses when she's just trying to do her job. Keela tries to get the students to sign in, but they treat her like she's invisible. Thankfully, the school's golden boy and president, Bai Ran, steps in to save the day. He gives her a dazzling smile and offers to help her finish the recording, leaving her totally swooning. He's the definition of a perfect gentleman, treating everyone with the same kindness. But Keela knows that despite his warmth, he's basically out of her league. In class, the teacher announces the upcoming arts festival and names the school flower, Wen Kayan, as the host. The whole class erupts in cheers because she's basically the school idol. Kayan is secretly hoping her co-host will be the president, and her wish comes true when the teacher confirms Bai Ran is the one. Keela watches from the sidelines as the perfect couple of the school gets paired up. When Ran comes to find Kayan to discuss the event, Keela feels like a background character in her own life. She sits at her desk feeling totally muted and invisible. To escape the gloom, she tries to distract herself by thinking about the mysterious guy from the alleyway. She fires herself up, deciding to use her lunch break to track him down. But she doesn't have to look far because the bad boy himself appears out of nowhere, pinning her against the wall with a smirk. Yiling leans in way too close, telling our girl Keela not to mark him absent for skipping PE. He thinks her flustered reaction is adorable, while she's just trying to maintain some professional boundaries. As he walks away with that signature smirk, Keela can't help but feel like she's seen that back view somewhere before. She stares after him, the sense of déjà vu hitting her like a freight train. Her friend Kayan snaps her out of it, mentioning that the student council president just left. The school is buzzing because dress rehearsals are finally starting. Kayan is in such a frantic rush that she leaves her manuscript behind. Even the guys are acting chaotic, ditching their responsibilities to go play ball. Keela is left holding the host's script, wondering how everything became such a mess. But the drama really kicks off when a student runs up with some terrible news. Apparently, something was stolen from the teacher's office, and Yiling is the prime suspect. Keela immediately panics, assuming he got caught for skipping class. She ditches her duties and sprints to the office, determined to save her favorite delinquent. She bursts through the door, ready to lie through her teeth to protect him. But the joke is on her. Yiling wasn't the thief, he was the one who reported the crime. Talk about a major facepalm moment. Our girl tries to play it cool, but the secondary embarrassment is real. She goes full tsundere and bolts out of the room while Yiling just laughs at her cute antics. Just when things calm down, a new challenger appears. A girl with a serious grudge screams for Kayan to face her. Keela isn't having any of it and stands her ground in front of the whole class. The bully realizes she's outnumbered and retreats for now. Keela watches her go, knowing this isn't over yet. Later at the school ceremony, everyone is swooning over how the president and Kayan look like a perfect couple. But Keela can't enjoy the show because she spots the bully lurking in the shadows. She decides to confront the girl, offering a peace offering in the form of a drink. The girl is still acting salty, but Keela demands to know what her deal is. Why spend all this energy being a hater? The girl snatches the drink, finally ready to spill her tragic backstory. It turns out she's been living in Kayan's shadow for way too long. She was head over heels for the basketball captain, only to watch him confess his love to Kayan instead. To make matters worse, Kayan rejected him without a second thought. Seeing the boy she loved so miserable broke her heart. She couldn't handle the fact that Kayan had everything she ever wanted and didn't even care. Her jealousy turned into a toxic cycle of hatred. Keela listens to the drama and asks the million-dollar question, did she ever actually tell him how she felt? When the girl admits she was too scared, Keela tells her to go for it right now. She drops some major wisdom, telling her that being a coward and taking it out on others is just pathetic. The words clearly hit home as the girl looks out at the sunset. She finds the captain and finally works up the courage to speak. She pours her heart out, realizing that her silence was the real villain of her story. She finally understands how much pain she caused by being bitter. As Keela watches from afar, she realizes her own advice applies to her too. It's time to stop being a coward and tell her own crush exactly how she feels. Nan is on a mission and begs Keela and Kayan to help her out during the weekend. The girls are a bit confused about selling books at a comic exhibition, but they can't say no to those puppy dog eyes. They arrive at the massive event, and the sheer scale of the crowd is enough to give anyone stage fright. But there's no time for nerves because Nan spotted them immediately and is ready to put them to work. She shoves a box of costumes at them, demanding they change into something more on brand for the booth. Nan Nan waits outside, pacing back and forth while wondering if the girls are finally ready to debut. First up is Kyan, looking like she stepped straight out of a fairy tale in an adorable Alice-inspired maid outfit. Our girl is absolutely serving looks, and even Nan Nan has to admit she looks breathtaking. With outfits this cute, Nan Nan is convinced their books are going to sell out in record time. Meanwhile, the heavy lifting is being handled by the boys, though not everyone is here by choice. Yiling looks like he'd rather be anywhere else, claiming he only showed up because he was bored. Of course, the real reason is that Nan Nan bribed him with wages and the promise that the girls would be there. He tries to keep his cool, but his eyes are constantly scanning the crowd for a certain someone. He spots a girl from behind and thinks he's found her, reaching out to get her attention. But it's a total swing and a miss, leaving him feeling a bit awkward. That's when the real showstopper arrives, as Keeley appears looking like a literal princess. Yiling is completely stunned, unable to take his eyes off her as he realizes the outfit fits her perfectly. He tries to play it off, but the tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. Kyan catches him staring, and the two share a brief, charged moment before he looks away. This is it. Kyan decides she can't keep her feelings bottled up for another second. But the chaos of the event isn't over yet, especially when the class president shows up and starts acting like a total fanboy over their costumes. He's way too excited, making a scene while the others just want to get back to work. Yiling decides to head off to carry more books, leaving the girls to handle the booth. But danger is lurking in the shadows as a creep tries to sneak a photo of Kyan when she isn't looking. Before the guy can even blink, Yiling swoops in like a total boss and snatches the phone right out of his hand. The creep tries to act tough, but Yiling is already deleting the evidence with a cold, terrifying gaze. He isn't playing around, demanding to know what the guy thinks he's doing. While Kayla comforts a shaken Kyan, the creep realizes he messed with the wrong guy and bolts. The adrenaline of the moment gives Kyan the final push. She needs to finally speak her truth. She chases after Yiling as he starts to disappear back into the sea of people. The music from the main stage begins to swell, creating the most dramatic backdrop possible for what's about to happen. She calls out his name, her voice barely carrying over the roar of the crowd. Yiling stops in his tracks, turning around to see our poor heroine trembling with nerves. She tells him she has something important to say, and for once, the world around them seems to go silent. He looks at her with those calm eyes, asking her what's on her mind. Memories of her loneliness and all the times he's been there for her come rushing back in a wave of emotion. She remembers his kindness and the way he just protected her from that creep. Taking Nan Nan's advice to heart, she realizes that having the courage to confess is better than living with regret. As the performers on stage sing about unrequited feelings, Kyan finds her voice. She pours her heart out, the lyrics of the song perfectly capturing the chaos of her emotions. Everything she's felt, every moment they've shared, it all leads to this very second. With one final, desperate breath, she shouts her confession for the whole world to hear. She's blushing like crazy, her heart hammering against her ribs as she waits for his response. The silence that follows is deafening, and Yiling's expression remains unreadably stoic. Kyan grips her dress so hard her knuckles turn white, bracing herself for the impact. She remembers the faces of those she's rejected in the past, never realizing how much it actually hurt until now. Yiling finally speaks, but it's not the answer she was dreaming of. He understands her feelings, but he can't return them, leaving her to bow in a heartbreaking show of gratitude. As he walks away, the crushing weight of rejection finally settles in her chest. She's experiencing the exact same pain she once caused others, and it's more agonizing than she ever imagined. Our poor girl finally breaks, the tears streaming down her face as she stands alone in the crowd. But even through the heartbreak, she tells herself that it's okay because at least she finally said it. She watches his retreating back one last time, thanking him for being honest enough to reject her. Xingshu adjusts his glasses, thinking back to how everything happened so suddenly. Just then, Yanliang pops up like a chaotic golden retriever, waving him down for a coincidence. He's got a job offer, but Xingshu is already being swarmed by fangirls who can't get enough of his handsome face. Our guy tries to walk away, but the mention of a generous salary for just selling drinks stops him dead in his tracks. Meanwhile, our poor heroine Kyan is wandering around lost, frantically checking her phone for a signal. She's completely cut off from her friends and stumbles upon a massive crowd outside a shop. She wonders why a simple coffee shop is so packed until she sees him. It's Xingshu, looking absolutely savage in a vampire costume. Seeing him like this triggers a core memory of a warm, protective hug that leaves her blushing like crazy. Before she can retreat, Yanliang spots her and offers a rose, inviting her in for a cup of coffee. He practically drags her inside while Xingshu watches from the sidelines with a tray in hand. The two lock eyes, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Xingshu doesn't waste a second, snatching the menu away from Yanliang. He coldly tells his friend that he'll be the one serving this customer because she's definitely not Yanliang's type. He hovers over her, asking what she'd like to drink in a voice that probably makes her heart skip a beat. She asks if he's actually here for work, and he gives her a charming, fanged smile. Then he leans in dangerously close, whispering for her to take care of his business today. Our girl is sweating bullets, hiding her red face behind the menu while he looms over her. She tries to pick a drink, but he rejects every single cocktail she points to. She's getting frustrated, demanding to know what she's even allowed to have. A dark shadow crosses his face as she thinks back to a childhood memory of holding a giant bottle of Coke. She quietly admits that she actually doesn't like Coke at all. Suddenly, the staff announces a sweepstakes where the lucky winner gets a kiss from anyone on stage. Zingshu checks her number, but she's already sure she didn't win. He looks at her tenderly and tells her that even if she didn't get number 1, there's still a prize for her. He gently covers her eyes with his gloved hand, telling her she isn't allowed to peek. And then he leans down for a secret, heart-stopping kiss that changes everything. Later, she's clutching a cute teddy bear, realizing this prize is way better than the official one. Zingshu has to head off to collect his wages, leaving her standing there in a daze. She touches her forehead, still wondering why he felt the need to cover her eyes. Zingshu is walking home, happy with his pay, but his mind drifts back to that moment. He worries if he said something wrong when she mentioned her dislike for Coke. But his peace is shattered when he finds a mob at a neighbor's door, screaming for someone named Yi to pay back their debts. His sister Yiling is out there alone, trying to fight off the angry crowd. They don't care that the kids aren't responsible for their father's mess. Yiling screams that they've already cut ties with that man. But a disgusting creep grabs her chin, suggesting she could make money by coming with them. He thinks he can just haul her away. Big mistake. Zingshu arrives like a literal demon, leveling the guy with a massive punch to the face. He stands over them with a terrifying gaze, daring them to repeat those words. The police finally arrive to stop the brawl. The siblings end up sitting in the station, battered, bruised, and exhausted. The officer hands them the release papers, telling them they're free to go. Zingshu signs the document with a trembling hand, his heart heavy. As they walk home, the neighbors aren't any better, whispering and judging them for the bad luck they bring to the building. They treat the siblings like a plague, gossiping right in front of them. Yiling stands there looking absolutely crushed by the weight of it all. Zingshu makes a final, desperate decision. He tells his sister it's time to move, far away to a place where no one will ever find them again. Yiling is out here living a double life at a shady bar, surrounded by women who can't get enough of little Zing. But it's not all fun and games. He's desperate for cash, and a wealthy lady offers him a fat stack of money if he can down a whole bottle of booze in one go. Poverty is a savage motivator, and despite his friends' protests that they should just run, Yiling knows they are dead broke. He chugs the entire bottle without blinking, earning cheers from the crowd while secretly wondering if his soul is even worth the price tag. Meanwhile, our girl Keela has spent way too much time dressing up just to return a photo, feeling like a total clown for caring. Her heart absolutely shatters when she spots him outside the bar, getting a playful kiss from another woman. She stands there frozen, realizing the guy she liked is apparently just a neighborhood playboy. But as he walks away, the alcohol hits him like a freight train and he starts violently coughing. He collapses in the alleyway, looking like a hot mess as Keela rushes to his side, only to be hit by the overwhelming stench of booze. Even in his dazed state, he can't stand her seeing him this pathetic. He looks at her with those pained eyes, wishing she'd just leave so he could suffer in peace. He tries to push her away, yelling that he doesn't need her pity. He tells her to stop minding his business and calls her annoying, which is the ultimate low blow. Our heroine has had enough of his toxic attitude and snaps back, screaming that she's done caring about a loser like him before storming off. Yiling watches her go, his heart heavier than the lead in his stomach. He lets himself fall, wishing the ground would just swallow him whole while he continues to cough up a lung. Keela tries to be cold, but she's haunted by the memories of the boy who once protected her. She remembers the warmth of his hug and can't bring herself to truly hate him. She eventually turns back to check on him, but the alley is empty, he's already gone. The next day at school, the teacher drops a bombshell. Yiling has been hospitalized. Keela rushes to the hospital, her anger completely replaced by worry. Inside, Yiling is waking up with a massive hangover and a mountain of regret about how he treated her. Just as he's wallowing in shame, Keela bursts through the door with a bouquet of flowers. He's so embarrassed he tries to hide behind an upside-down newspaper like a total dork. He panics, realizing he can't let her find out he's there because of a drunken collapse. When she asks what's wrong, he gives a vague answer about a sudden old illness. Thanks to a hilarious misunderstanding involving a nearby doctor, Keela ends up convinced that he's actually suffering from hemorrhoids. She leaves the room in a state of shock, leaving him relieved but looking like a total idiot. But the drama never sleeps, and in the hallway, Keela spots a familiar face with a signature red streak in her hair. It's the same girl who was causing chaotic scenes at the cafe. Our girl isn't about to let this mystery go and decides to follow her to see what she's really up to. Keela is still reeling from what she saw at the hospital, wondering if she's just overthinking things. To clear her head, she heads to a bookstore to find some classic poetry to distract her mind. Just as she reaches for a book, a mysterious hand beats her to the punch. It's a stunningly beautiful girl who kindly hands the book over with a gentle smile. This elegant stranger even points out which shelf has the better collection, leaving our girl totally mesmerized by her aura. But the peaceful vibe is short-lived because her friend pulls her away to see what else is in store. As they step outside, they run into the school president and his friend, who act like this was a totally random coincidence. The group ends up at a cafe, but the atmosphere is beyond awkward for our poor heroine. One guy starts bragging about his legendary karaoke skills, while Keela just wants to disappear into her drink. The president tries to strike up a conversation about her interests, but she's barely listening. Suddenly, her heart stops when she spots a familiar figure through the window. It's a woman with a suitcase, and Keela is convinced it's her long-lost mother returning home. She screams out and bolts from the table in a total panic. The president can only watch in confusion as she disappears into the crowd. Keela desperately chases after the woman through the busy streets, tears streaming down her face. She's so blinded by grief and hope that she doesn't even see the massive truck barreling toward her. Just as her life flashes before her eyes, a hand yanks her back from the brink of death. It's our favorite edgy bad boy, Zingshu, and he looks absolutely terrified for her. Instead of a hug, he immediately starts yelling, calling her incredibly annoying for being so reckless. Our girl isn't having it and snaps back, demanding to know why he's even here if he hates her so much. He tries to backtrack, looking completely flustered while Keela keeps crying. He offers a lame apology, claiming he was too drunk to remember being mean to her, which only makes her angrier. But then a realization hits her like a ton of bricks. How on earth did he know her name was Keela? She corners him for an answer, and he looks like he'd rather jump back in front of that truck than explain. He gives her a vague excuse and rushes off to his shift at the bar. Back at work, his coworker tells him a top-tier beauty is asking for him by name. And surprise, surprise, it's the gorgeous girl from the bookstore Yiling. Zingshu tries to act like a professional waiter, but she's clearly not there for a drink. She calls him out for pretending he doesn't know her, and the tension in the room is thick enough to choke on. He tells her he's busy and doesn't have time for her games. She smirks, asking if he's really going to turn down a chance to make some easy money. Before he can even blink, she slaps a massive stack of cash right against his face. She stands there like a savage queen, asking if that's finally enough to buy his time. A mysterious guy is literally kissing cash like it's his one true love. Our girl looks on in pure horror, wondering how the boy she once knew became this money-obsessed mess. But let's snap back to reality as the class bus heads toward their mountain retreat. The guys are already making inappropriate jokes about hot springs, while the girls tell them to shut it. Our heroine catches a glimpse of Yanshu, who is hiding under his hoodie and ignoring the chaos. She finds him completely baffling, but he's too busy being the mysterious, brooding type to care. Yanshu finds the whole situation annoying, staring out at the passing greenery. Once they arrive, the teacher announces their big practice class is helping villagers dig for bamboo shoots. There's even a prize for the best digger, so everyone gets to work. Our girl is doing her best, but her eyes start wandering toward the deeper forest. She spots a gorgeous view and decides to sneak off for a better look. She hits the jackpot with a patch of bamboo shoots, but she's getting way too close to the edge. Of course, because she's our clumsy queen, she trips over a rock. With a massive splash, she plunges straight into the freezing water. She's struggling to stay afloat as her friends scream in panic from the shore. Suddenly, a figure dives and it's Yanshu, coming to the rescue once again. He grabs her tight, and as she looks up through the bubbles, she can't believe he's here. She realizes that no matter what happens, this guy always seems to be by her side when she's in trouble. He hauls her out of the water like a soaked kitten, looking totally exhausted. He carries her all the way back while her friend watches on in shock. He tosses his glasses to the side, clearly done with the day's drama. They finally make it to a nearby farmhouse to dry off. Yanshu is forced to wear a borrowed flowery shirt from the farmer, and honestly, it's a look. He scolds her for being so reckless, and they immediately start bickering like an old married couple. But the mood shifts when she softly whispers a thank you. Our savage protector turns into a blushing mess in a split second. Their moment is interrupted when their friends burst in, crying and worried sick. By evening, the drama dies down and the group gathers to hear scary stories about mountain ghosts. Our girl isn't scared though, she just wants to climb up and see the stars. The path is slippery and dark as the group makes their way up. To stay safe, the class president suggests they all hold hands. Yanshu doesn't wait for an invite and just grabs her sleeve, pulling her along. She's flustered by the contact, but he's not letting go. Her heart is racing as she realizes she couldn't pull away even if she wanted to. They reach the top and the sky is absolutely breathtaking. A shooting star streaks across the sky and everyone rushes to make a wish. Our girl closes her eyes, pouring her heart into a silent prayer. She wishes for her mother's happiness and the strength to become someone who can leave this country behind. Yanshu watches her intensely while she's lost in thought. He turns away, his face turning bright red as he realizes he's staring. Under the vast, sparkling sky, two hearts are definitely beating a little faster tonight. Yanshu is currently laying low at his part-time bar gig, but his coworker drops a truth bomb. A mysterious, wealthy-looking lady has been stalking the place for a week just to find him. He insists she's not a customer, but the dark look in his eyes tells us there's a heavy history brewing beneath the surface. We flash back to their school days, where Yanshu and his buddy were the ultimate heartthrobs of the campus, turning heads everywhere they went. A young and bubbly Kwejen crashes the party, thrilled that she finally gets to attend the same school as her favorite crush. Back then, she was his biggest fan, always ready with a cold drink and a smile after his intense basketball matches. She was completely devoted, promising to be the only one to take care of him from that moment on. With a blush, she laid her heart on the line, confessing her love with zero hesitation. But that was then and this is now. Yanshu crushes his cigarette, deciding it's finally time to face the ghost of his past. He steps out to meet her, but the sweet girl from the flashback is long gone, replaced by a cold, elegant woman who's tired of waiting. He tries to play it cool, telling her the past is dead, but she scoffs at his ego and calls out his daydreams. She makes it crystal clear she doesn't love him anymore. In fact, she absolutely hates his guts. Her demand is savage. She wants him to come back to her side just so she can systematically torture him the same way he did to her years ago. Meanwhile, our poor heroine Keela is just trying to survive her math homework when a mysterious number lights up her phone. It's Yanshu, who apparently has zero boundaries and tracked down her number through school records. He casually asks her to drop everything and come to the bar, but she tries to stay focused on her studies. That's when he drops the ultimate bombshell. He needs her to pretend to be his girlfriend for the night. Keela's brain practically short-circuits at the sheer audacity of the request. She's rightfully suspicious, knowing that being his fake, anything usually leads to total chaos. But he's a master manipulator, pulling the I saved your life card to guilt-trip her into returning the favor. Our girl is too soft-hearted for her own good and eventually caves under the pressure, unable to say no. Look at that smug smirk. He knew she couldn't reject him, and he's definitely enjoying his victory. Fast forward to the date, and Keela is dressed to the nines, though she's vibrating with pure anxiety. She stares at the clock, wondering what on earth she's doing and if it's too late to run away. Her imagination goes wild, picturing herself being sold off as a gift to some terrifying underground mob boss. She's basically a walking panic attack at this point, convinced her life is about to turn into a horror movie. Just as she's about to bolt, Yanshu walks out of the bar with his vengeful ex-flame in tow. Kwejen stops dead in her tracks, recognizing Keela from their earlier encounter at the bookstore. It's showtime. Keela gathers every ounce of courage she has and decides to commit to the bit. She lunges forward, clinging to Yanshu's arm like her life depends on it and playing the part of the doting girlfriend. Kwejen is visibly shaken, demanding to know exactly who this girl is. Without missing a beat, Yanshu confirms the lie, she's his girlfriend. He flashes a dazzling smile that would be romantic if it wasn't totally staged. He leans in dangerously close, whispering sweet nothings that make Keela's heart do backflips from pure embarrassment. He even calls her honey and asks about dinner, causing her to stammer out a request for Odin like a total dork. Kwejen watches them with a look of pure disbelief before finally admitting defeat and turning away. She drives off into the night, leaving our happy couple alone at last. Keela finally exhales, but notices Yanshu is shaking beside her. Suddenly, he loses it, bursting into a fit of laughter that echoes through the street. He ruthlessly mocks her, telling her that her acting was absolutely bottom-tier trash. He even does a high-pitched impression of her Odin line, making our girl fume with rage. She's ready to storm off after being insulted, but he quickly grabs her hand to stop her. He softens up, insisting on walking her home since it's late and he's not a total monster. She claims they're even now, but he just smiles, hinting that she's going to owe him for a long, long time. He keeps teasing her about the food, proving that their chaotic chemistry is only just beginning. Hand in hand, they walk off into the night, leaving us wondering if this fake relationship might turn into something very real. While the school is buzzing, Kwejen makes her grand entrance back into the picture. Our girl is just minding her business when she's spotted by this mystery woman in a cap. Kwejen isn't here for a friendly visit, though. She runs into her cousin, and he's shook to see her back on campus. He asks why she's returned, and she's not holding back. She's here for one thing and one thing only: cold, hard revenge. She threatens to ruin Yanshu by exposing his secret job at the bar. Her cousin begs her to stop, but she's already spiraling. She's absolutely savage, screaming that she's been tortured while he's out here living his best life with a new girlfriend. The trauma is real as she breaks down in tears over her father's death. Her cousin can only offer a shoulder to cry on as she sobs her heart out. Cut to our poor heroine and Keela, who has no idea she's about to get ambushed. Kwejen corners her and asks for chat. They head to a cafe and the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Kwejen plays the sweet girl card at first, asking about music recommendations. But Keela is way too smart for these games and asks what she really wants. Then comes the bombshell. Kwejen reveals she's Yanshu's ex-girlfriend. Keela is internally screaming, realizing she's way out of her depth with this lie. The ex starts planting seeds of doubt, asking if Keela can really handle a guy who works in that kind of place. Keela starts imagining the worst, picturing Yanshu surrounded by other women at the bar. She realizes that despite their relationship, she knows absolutely nothing about him. Kwejen leans in like a villain, asking if Keela wants to know the real Yanshu. She mocks her, asking if she can still stay with him once she knows the truth. But our girl finds her backbone and snaps back, calling out the unfairness of trash-talking someone she used to love. Keela refuses to be a pawn and storms out like a boss. Kuezhen just smirks and picks up her phone. She calls Yan Shu to brag about how his little girlfriend reacted. Yan Shu is totally unbothered, telling her to leave Keela out of whatever mess they have. He's being protective, but he's clearly hiding a mountain of secrets. Back at home, Keela is trying to focus on studying, but her brain is fried. She gets a text from Senior Bai and starts drafting a reply to grab a meal. But she can't even hit send, deleting the whole thing in a fit of frustration. Everything feels strange now, and she's questioning her feelings. She looks at a photo of Yan Shu, wondering what kind of dark past he's hiding. Kuezhen's words are living rent-free in her head. She feels like a total outsider in his life. She ends up rolling around on her bed, screaming because she can't stop thinking about him. The next day at school, Keela is a walking zombie with massive dark circles. Yan Shu notices her looking like a mess and starts putting the pieces together. He remembers the call from his ex and wonders if Keela is actually upset. To break the ice, he tosses a note onto her desk. It's a silly doodle telling her to stop daydreaming and pay attention. Keela isn't having it and sends back a savage drawing of her own, threatening to kill him. Yan Shu is annoyed, but Keela finally feels a little bit better. After class, Senior Bai tracks Yan Shu down to deliver the news. He confirms that Kuezhen is back and asks if they've met yet. He suggests that Yan Shu should go explain things to her because she's clearly misunderstood the situation. Yan Shu just goes silent, his eyes darkening. We flash back to a rainy funeral where a young Yan Shu stood alone. A young Kuezhen was sobbing, her world falling apart after her father's death. The crowd was whispering, blaming Yan Shu's father for destroying her family. In the pouring rain, Kuezhen told him to never contact her again. Yan Shu didn't fight it, simply walking away and apologizing for things he couldn't change. Back in the present, he decides there's no point in explaining. Some bridges are meant to stay burnt. He's being put on the spot about whether he has a secret crush. His friend notes that he finally seems to have given up on the impossible, but he's told to cherish the person he loves if she's truly a warm soul. Little does he know, our girl is hiding right around the corner, hearing every single word. The drama gets heavy as we see Yiling on the phone, looking stressed out of his mind. Our poor heroine, Kuezhen, is devastated to learn his father ran off with her family's life savings. He claims he's looking for the man too, but the betrayal cuts deep. She wonders if this was all just a sick trap to ruin her family. But then a phone call changes everything in a heartbeat. Her world shatters as she hears the news that her father has taken his own life. The shock is absolute, leaving her completely paralyzed. Years later, a mysterious woman pays her respects at a lonely grave. It's a somber moment of reflection for a life cut short. Kuezhen appears, calling out to her sister-in-law figure, Yu. We see a glimpse of their past, where Yu used to scold Yiling for being a brat to our girl. Now she tells her late father that she's living a happy life, trying to find peace. But the shadows of debt still hang over Yiling and his sister. He hands over whatever money he has, knowing it's barely enough to cover the interest. His sister dreams of a fresh start, but he knows the past won't let them go so easily. She screams that it wasn't their fault their father was a crook. But Yiling carries the guilt of every person his father ruined, especially Uncle Liu. He knows Uncle Liu only jumped because he was forced into a corner. He tells his sister to stop lying to herself about how much she hurts. Every year, she pays her respects out of a crushing sense of shame. She admits it's the only way she can cope, telling him to focus on his own life for once. He wonders if he even has a life of his own. Can a guy with this much baggage even afford to like someone? He thinks of our girl, the light in his dark world. But instead of chasing her, he's stuck in a cycle of self-loathing while others try to drag him out for a drink. He looks at his reflection, feeling completely unworthy of love. He puts on a fake smile and waves, hiding the pain behind his eyes. Meanwhile, back at school, the hunt for Kuezhen is on. Senior Bai Yiran is frantically checking his phone, wondering where she vanished to. A cute junior stops him, asking if he remembers her. He recalls her from math class, but he's in for total shock. She laughs, revealing that the boy he used to study with was actually a girl in disguise. It turns out our girl in Keela was that same boy from his past. The realization hits him like a freight train. He finally understands who she really is. He looks out at the field, his mind spinning with the truth. He spots her hanging out with Yiling, looking happier than he's ever seen him. He realizes their bond is much deeper than he ever imagined. Determined to get answers, he heads to her classroom. But he gets cold feet, realizing how awkward it is to just show up. A classmate tells him she's in the office and offers to take a message. He chickens out, making up a lame excuse about just wanting to say hi. The classmate is left wondering if there's a secret history between them. She remembers Keela saying she joined the student council because of someone she admired. She assumes the senior is the one Keela has a crush on, but her theory is about to be tested. She tells Keela that the handsome senior was looking for her. Keela just looks confused, not showing a hint of a blush. Suddenly, Yiling crashes the party, acting like his usual savage self. He hits her over the head with a book, telling her to move out of the way. They start bickering like an old married couple, completely ignoring everyone else. The friend watches them, realizing she might have been totally wrong. The school hallways are buzzing with the kind of gossip that makes your skin crawl. As our girl walks into the room, she realizes every single eye is glued to her with a judgmental stare. She tries to play it cool, but the atmosphere is thick with a tension she can't ignore. Then she sees it, a massive, humiliating declaration on the blackboard claiming she's in love with Senior Bai. Her heart sinks as she stands there, exposed and humiliated in front of the entire class. She clenches her fists, wondering who could be petty enough to pull a stunt like this. Every step she takes feels like walking through a nightmare as she tries to process the cruelty of it all. Meanwhile, the rumors spread like wildfire, and the boys are already dragging Senior Bai to the scene to see the confession for himself. People are whispering about how she's breaking the school's no romance rule. But Keela has finally had enough and grabs the eraser to wipe the lies away. Suddenly, a hand stops her mid-motion, catching her completely off guard. A mysterious guy in a hoodie steps in, providing a shield against the prying eyes. He leans in and tells her not to be scared, giving her the strength to face the crowd. Keela turns around and addresses the entire room with a voice that doesn't tremble. She admits that while she admires Senior Bai's character and hard work, she needs to make one thing crystal clear to everyone watching. She shouts it for the back row. She has never liked him that way and asks everyone to stop the misunderstandings immediately. Senior Bai stands there, looking a bit stunned as the crowd realizes the show is over and starts to filter out. Keela is mortified when she realizes he heard the entire thing, but she stands her ground. It doesn't take long for Bai to figure out the culprit, and he immediately calls Kwezhen to confront her. She doesn't even try to deny it, smugly admitting she did it just to see a reaction. Kwezhen claims she was testing the waters, but Bai isn't playing her games today. He snaps, losing his cool and shouting that Keela has absolutely nothing to do with their drama. His intense reaction leaves Kwezhen speechless, and even Bai has to wonder why he's getting this worked up over our girl. Later, Yiling rushes to Keela's side, feeling guilty for not being there when the chaos erupted. Keela puts on a brave face for her friend, but deep down, she knows this isn't over. She has a sinking feeling that all this drama is linked back to one person. Looking at her reflection, she realizes she's tired of the web of lies, especially the fake relationship she's stuck in. She pulls out her phone, deciding it's time to cut the cord with Tianshu once and for all. Over at his place, Tianshu is caught off guard when he sees his favorite sprite calling him. He tries to act cool and busy, but his face says he's been waiting for this call all day. He tells her he's in the middle of work just to save face, but Keela isn't here for small talk. She drops the bombshell. She can't continue being his fake girlfriend anymore. The silence on the line is heavy as Tianshu's heart basically shatters in real time. She tries to soften the blow, telling him he should focus on the girl he actually has feelings for. Tianshu looks absolutely devastated, his quiet world crumbling as he realizes he's losing her for real. They both agree to end the charade, but the finality of it feels heavier than either expected. As she hangs up, Keela is left standing alone, feeling a strange void where the drama used to be. She thought ending the lie would make her feel free. At a high-end bar, Yanshu is playing a dangerous game, letting a wealthy woman get way too close for comfort. But behind the scenes, things are desperate as his family is facing eviction and he's drowning in a financial abyss. He forces a smile while the woman swoons over him, but his heart clearly isn't in this chaotic seduction. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees the face of the only girl who actually matters to him. As he grabs the dirty money, the guilt starts eating him alive. He realizes he can't go through with this, even if it means losing the cash his family needs to survive. Our boy suddenly snaps and pushes the lady away, leaving her completely baffled and offended. He pulls the ultimate savage move, claiming he's actually underage and needs to go hide his backpack. The woman is absolutely horrified and storms off, calling him a little brat while he just stands there unbothered. But once she's gone, the mask slips and the weight of his reality comes crashing back down. He tries to drown his sorrows in a bottle, realizing there's no easy way out of this mess. Meanwhile, our poor heroine is home alone, unable to focus on her book because her mind is racing. She's agonizing over their fake relationship, feeling a sharp pain in her chest that she can't quite explain. Suddenly, a shadow appears outside. It's Yanshu, looking like a lost puppy in the middle of the night. She rushes out to meet him, her heart skipping a beat the second she sees his exhausted face. He looks so broken that she can't help but want to shield him from the entire world. Without a word, he reaches out and pulls her close, whispering that he's been waiting just for her. They share a massive, emotional hug under the moonlight that honestly makes me want to scream. He confesses that he really needed to see her, clinging to her like she's his only lifeline. Our girl is totally stunned, her brain short-circuiting at this sudden burst of honesty. He admits that things have been rough, but just being near her makes the darkness fade away. It's a moment of pure, cinematic bliss as they hold each other while the world stands still. Even though he knows their path won't be easy, he just wants to be close to her for as long as possible. Back in her room, our heroine flops onto her bed, her mind replaying that hug on a loop. She's blushing like crazy, wondering why on earth her head went totally blank in his arms. She realizes she doesn't hate the feeling at all. In fact, it might be the best thing she's ever felt. Touching the spot where he held her, she starts to piece together the truth about her own heart. That warm, familiar embrace is lingering in her soul, making her face turn a bright shade of crimson. She hides her face against the wall, finally admitting that she might actually have feelings for him. Meanwhile, Yanshu is humming a happy tune, looking like a completely different person the next morning. His sister notices the change immediately, teasing him about the massive grin plastered on his face. He admits that he's finally confirmed his feelings, and honestly, we are all here for this character growth. He tells her that having someone to love makes him feel stronger, like he can finally face his demons. His only goal now is to protect the girl who saved him from his own abyss. With a newfound sense of purpose, he heads out to settle some old scores and face his fears. His sister watches him go, relieved to see her brother finally finding a reason to smile again. But the drama isn't over, as he meets up with a girl named Kwejen on a cold, desolate rooftop. She's cold and defensive, demanding to know why he brought her to such a haunted location. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as he looks out over the city. He drops a bombshell, reminding her that this is the exact spot where her father took his own life years ago. She lashes out in anger, but he calmly tells her that he's here to offer her atonement. She scoffs, claiming that his family owes her a debt that can never be repaid. He asks if she'll stop blaming herself if he gives her a life in exchange for her father's. He stands on the ledge with a peaceful smile, ready to end the cycle of hatred once and for all. Terrified, she lunges forward and grabs him, screaming for him to stop this madness. She breaks down in tears, finally confessing that she always knew he was innocent. He holds her hands and begs her to stop living in resentment because it's destroying her from the inside. Through her sobs, she admits that she actually loved him more than anyone else. But since they can never be together, she chooses to hate him just so she can never forget him. Keela screams Yiling's name in a total panic. He scolds her for being reckless, asking if she's even thought about how her family feels. But our girl fires back, asking if he's ever once considered her asterisk feelings. Suddenly, Yiling bolts upright in bed, realizing it was all just a terrifyingly vivid dream. He sighs, knowing he's done something totally impulsive and capricious lately. Back at school, the tension between them is so thick you could cut it with a knife. His sister tells him that if he's sure of his feelings, he needs to man up and confirm the other person's heart. She hypes him up, saying a handsome guy like him can't possibly fail a confession. Later, Keela tries to keep things professional by reaching out for his homework. But Yiling is clearly struggling to keep his cool, looking like he's about to short-circuit. He finally gathers his courage and asks her straight up if she has someone she likes. Keela thinks he's just trying to find a new way to dodge his language assignment, but he insists he's asking seriously. She's left completely stunned, wondering where the sudden interrogation is coming from. After school, Keela is frantically digging through her bag for her missing math exam. Her classmates approach her to apologize for the rumors about her and Senior Bai. She tells them it's no big deal, but then a photo slips out of her desk. The girls immediately snatch it up, swooning over how handsome the guy in the picture is. Keela is sweating bullets, regretting ever bringing that photo to school in the first place. She grabs the picture and runs for her life, leaving the girls shouting and demanding to know his name. But Yiling was watching the whole chaotic scene and realizes the guy in the photo is actually him. He starts connecting the dots, wondering if he's the one she's been crushing on all this time. It's a total mood shifter, and he's feeling all sorts of complicated and grumpy right now. Later that evening, Keela is still cringing over the massive misunderstanding she caused. She looks at the photo again, realizing her feelings for the boy in it are the real deal. She can't even pretend it's a mistake anymore. Her mind drifts back to Yiling's question about who she likes. She wonders what his game is and why he's acting so strange. Does he actually like her? But then she remembers how savage he usually is, claiming he doesn't care about her business at all. Yet she can't forget the times he stepped up and carried her when she was at her weakest. Maybe he's not the total jerk she thought he was. If he asked her seriously, she might just lose her mind and run away from the sheer embarrassment. Her heart starts thumping and she realizes she's in deep trouble. Is it possible she's falling for both Yanshu and Yiling at the same time? Our poor heroine is having a total breakdown, convinced she's turned into a chaotic playa. The store clerk snaps her out of it, asking what on earth she's doing standing there like a statue. Keela panics and hands over the photo, lying through her teeth that she just found it on the road. The clerk is thrilled to have it back and starts asking Keela about her high school. But the conversation is cut short when the handsome guy himself, Yanshu, walks in looking for a snack. The two girls freeze as the coincidence of the century hits them. Yanshu looks up and is absolutely floored to see Keela standing right there in the middle of the shop. The atmosphere instantly shifts as these two are finally face to face. Yanshu's sister is finally putting the pieces together, and our boy is sweating bullets trying to keep his double life a secret. They grab a bite to eat, but our poor heroine is lost in thought, wondering how he'd actually react if she spilled the tea about the Yiling situation. She tentatively mentions that someone at school has been giving her a hard time. Yanshu immediately goes into protective mode, demanding to know exactly who is bothering her. He tries to play it cool while asking how she really feels about this mystery guy. When she admits she actually thinks he's a pretty decent person, Yanshu looks like his entire world just flipped upside down. He's hit with the realization that she has a great impression of his alter ego, but for some reason, he isn't happy about it at all. Later, his sister corners him, pointing out that the heroine still has no clue they're the same person. She grills him on why he's still keeping her in the dark and playing these games. Yanshu sighs, admitting that he really did intend to tell her the truth sooner. But if he confesses now, he's just a massive liar who's been deceiving her from the very start. He's stuck in a total mess and has absolutely no idea how to fix this identity crisis. Meanwhile, our girl is connecting the dots back home, realizing that if you look closely, the two of them look way too similar to be strangers. The shock hits her like a truck when she remembers seeing him in her school's uniform. But the drama doesn't stop there because as the sister goes to take out the trash, a creepy hand reaches out from the shadows. She's snatched up and silenced before she can even process what's happening. Yanshu notices she's been gone way too long and goes to check the hall, only to find her looking completely shaken. A mysterious man in a cap tells her to stay quiet, and it turns out to be their deadbeat dad making a sudden, unwelcome appearance. He's there to drag them away, claiming it's time for them to leave everything behind and go with him. We get a flashback to a tense meeting where Yanshu's teacher confronts him about his secret part-time job at a bar. He desperately pleads with her to let it slide because his family's finances are in shambles. But she drops the hammer, telling him he has to choose between his future at school or the job. Back in the present, he's still spiraling over whether the heroine could ever accept the truth about who he really is. The school bell finally snaps him out of his existential crisis, and our heroine tries to make a quick exit before things get any more awkward. Too late, Yanshu pulls a total jump scare and corners her right at her desk. He's not letting her off the hook and demands to know her reply to his question from yesterday. He leans in way too close for comfort, telling her she better study hard if she doesn't want to fail her exams again. Then he gets even more intimate to check over her paperwork. He casually points out that she picked the wrong answer and tells her it should have been C. Our girl is officially malfunctioning from the proximity and bolts out of the room with her heart doing 100 miles per hour. Yanshu is left standing there alone, face-palming at his own chaotic behavior. He decides he can't keep living this lie and vows to let the Yanshu persona disappear for good. Yanshu is already planning his escape from the bar, but his coworker is worried about how he'll pay off his father's massive debts. He's determined to find another way to make bank, but the universe has other plans. Before he can even process who's looking for him, a dark shadow looms behind him. Suddenly, blood splatters against the wall. Our poor boy is cornered by a debt collector with a knife who demands he bring his father out immediately. The situation is turning lethal as the thugs refuse to leave without their money. Meanwhile, our heroine feels a chill as her lucky cat charm snaps in half, a total omen of disaster. She's worried sick when the teacher announces at school that Yanshu took a sudden leave of absence. Checking her phone, Keela realizes he called her twice the night before, but she missed it because her phone was on silent. She quickly fires off a text praying that nothing bad happened. But as the school day ends early, there's still zero response from him. She tries calling him, but his phone is completely turned off. Unable to sit still, she goes to find his sister at work, only to find out she's also on leave. A coworker drops the bombshell. Her brother was rushed to the hospital. Our girl wastes no time sprinting to the emergency room. She frantically begs the nurse for his room number. And then she spots a bandaged figure in the hallway. She chases after him, ignoring the nurse who claims they don't have a patient by that name. She catches him and asks if he's okay. But when he turns around, his face is covered in bandages. Then comes the ultimate heartbreak. He stares at her coldly and asks, "Who are you?" Back in his room, the nurse tells our girl to give him space to recover, leaving her totally confused. She leaves, feeling absolutely crushed by the rejection. But inside the room, Yanshu is actually awake and getting a savage earful from his sister for trying to sneak out of bed. His sister scolds him for not caring about his own life while he's covered in wounds. He asks about his phone, remembering how he tried to ask the doctor for it earlier. It finally hits him that the girl who just cornered him was actually Keela. He realizes he messed up big time, but then a darker thought crosses his mind. He remembers the thugs who jumped him yesterday. As our girl walks home in tears, she remembers all the sweet, chaotic moments they shared. She wonders if it was all a lie and why he's pretending to be a stranger. Suddenly, her phone starts ringing. She's stunned to see it's an incoming call from his number. She picks up, her heart pounding as she wonders what he wants. She asks why he's calling, but it's not his voice on the other end. A strange man claims he found the phone and asks if she's the owner's girlfriend. She tries to play it cool, saying she barely knows him, but the man insists she come pick it up. Back at the hospital, Yanshu's memory finally clicks into place as he clutches his head in pain. He remembers the thugs scrolling through his contacts. They were looking for his father, but decided to call everyone on his list to lure them out. Panic sets in as he realizes Keela is walking straight into a dangerous trap. Yanshu's sister is absolutely losing it, screaming at him to get his butt back in bed. Even the nurse is terrified, warning him that his wounds are still fresh and he's in no condition to be running around. But our boy doesn't care about medical advice when his girl is in trouble. He realizes that his sister must have put a GPS tracker on the phone he gave Keela, and he's going to use it. Bingo, he finds her signal and bolts out of there like a man on a mission. Meanwhile, Keela sneezes, probably because someone is talking about her, or maybe just because it's freezing outside. Our poor heroine is wandering around a creepy, rainy factory district, starting to regret her life choices. She hears footsteps and quickly hides, her heart hammering against her ribs. These thugs are hunting for someone, and they definitely don't look like they're here to offer her a ride home. Just when she thinks she's safe, her phone starts ringing at the absolute worst possible moment. The noise echoes through the silence, and the thugs stop dead in their tracks. They spot her and the chase is on, but Keela's legs are practically turning to jelly. It's Yanshu on the line, and she frantically tells him she's trapped near the factory. She's terrified, whispering into the phone while trying to stay one step ahead of the goons. Suddenly, a hand grabs her and she nearly jumps out of her skin. It's Yanshu. He's pale and sweating, but he's here to save the day. He tells her to get out of there while he deals with the trash. Even while injured, he grabs a pipe, looking like a total savage ready for war. He lands a brutal hit on the first guy, showing zero mercy. He grabs Keela's hand and they make a run for it through the pouring rain. They splash through the puddles, desperate to put some distance between them and the thugs. Finally, they find a spot to catch their breath, completely drenched and exhausted. Keela immediately starts laying into him, asking why he's always showing up and being so reckless. She's furious that he risked his life when he previously pretended he didn't even know her. The tears start flowing as she asks why he's even looking for her if they're supposed to be strangers. She's a sobbing mess, letting out all that pent-up hurt from his cold behavior. Yanshu watches her, realizing that his attempt to keep her safe by ignoring her only broke her heart. He calls her an idiot, but his eyes are filled with nothing but affection. He thinks she's absolutely adorable when she's mad, and he can't hold back anymore. He pulls her close, realizing just how much this girl actually cares about him. Everything around them fades away as the world turns soft and poetic. He leans in and finally gives her the kiss we've all been waiting for. It's a moment of pure bliss, and he wishes time would just stop right here. But the drama gods are cruel, and blood suddenly spatters across the scene. Yanshu collapses right into her arms, his hospital gown stained a terrifying crimson. Keela screams his name in pure agony as he falls to the ground, unconscious. Fast forward to the hospital, where our boy finally opens his eyes to see the ceiling. His sister is right there with a cup of tea and a sharp tongue, calling him a guy who clearly doesn't value his life. She explains that the police and Keela managed to get him back before he bled out. His first thought is Keela, but his sister tells him to relax, she's safe at home. He's relieved, but he knows he's put her through way too much stress. The mood gets heavy as they discuss their missing father, Yi Chongming. The creditors are closing in now that he's back in the picture, and the pressure is mounting. Yanshu wants him to surrender, but his sister is terrified he'll face the ultimate penalty. She breaks down, crying that if their dad dies, they'll truly be alone in this world. Yanshu reaches out to comfort her, reminding her that she's still got him. Back at home, Keela sneaks in, trying to avoid any questions about her late-night adventure. Her aunt is waiting, worried sick and asking if she's even eaten dinner yet. Keela lies through her teeth, saying she was just visiting a friend in the hospital. She retreats to her room, but her mind is a chaotic mess. She touches her lips, still feeling the ghost of that kiss. She's a blushing disaster, wondering how he could just kiss her like that without warning. Her heart is racing because she knows she's officially stuck on him. But then the doubt creeps in. He has so many secrets and dangerous people chasing him. She wonders if she's even allowed to have feelings for someone wrapped in so much mystery. She tries to talk herself out of it, reminding herself he never actually said he liked her. She's stuck in a loop of overthinking, her face buried in her hands. Her aunt interrupts her crisis to tell her she has a phone call. It's her mother, and Keela's face lights up with a tiny spark of hope. But her mom is the definition of an ice queen, only calling to check on her grades like a business transaction. Keela tries to be a good daughter, asking if her mom is busy with work. She's so desperate for a connection, but her mom cold-heartedly cuts her off, saying she has a meeting. The disappointment on our girl's face is absolutely soul-crushing. She's reminded of the day her mother walked out on her, leaving her behind for a career. She watches the phantom of her mother's bus driving away, a trauma that clearly hasn't healed. Standing alone in her room, Keela realizes that even her own mother can't give her the love she craves. Finally, the semester is over and everyone is losing their minds with joy. Our girl tells her friend she has to skip the break hangouts because her mom is finally coming back. Her friend is totally jealous, thinking it's going to be a sweet reunion, but our heroine knows better. And Keela's mind is actually elsewhere, staring at that empty desk and wondering where on earth Yiling disappeared to. He didn't even show up for the end of the term, leaving her completely in the dark. Fast forward to the airport, and the legendary mom finally makes her grand entrance looking like a total fashion icon. There's zero warmth here though, as she immediately grills our poor heroine about her lackluster math grades. She walks off without even a hug, leaving Keela trailing behind her like a lonely assistant. Meanwhile, the resident mean girl is lurking nearby and nearly chokes on her gum when she spots them. She realizes that the woman Keela is with isn't just any stylish lady. She checks the magazine in her cousin's hand and the color drains from her face. That's an Erzing, the elite, legendary lawyer who dominates every courtroom she steps into. The realization hits the mean girl like a freight train. She actually tried to frame the daughter of a woman who eats people like her for breakfast. But there's a darker history here. This is the same woman who single-handedly dismantled the Yi Group years ago. She was the cold-blooded professional who demanded answers from Yi Changming during their bankruptcy. And back then, the man had absolutely nothing left to say. Back in the present, dinner with mom is about as cozy as an icebox. Suddenly, Keela spots a familiar face in the crowd. It's Yanshu. She practically jumps out of her skin to go say hi, and her mom gives her a chillingly indifferent go-ahead. She rushes over to Yanshu, who is looking as charming as ever in the winter air. But the mood shifts instantly when her mother walks up, her sharp eyes scanning Yanshu like he's a piece of evidence. She coldly asks if he's just a classmate, making the tension skyrocket. Yanshu doesn't flinch, politely introducing himself while our girl stands there sweating bullets. He politely declines a dinner invite, claiming he's already meeting someone else. As her mom walks away, Keela tries to make a quick, awkward exit. But wait, Yanshu leans in and catches her off guard with a cheeky kiss on the cheek. He gives her a savage wink and leaves her completely short-circuited. Our girl is left standing there, a blushing, chaotic mess. Yanshu's friend asks if she's his girlfriend and he plays it cool. He says she's not, at least not yet, but he's definitely planning on it in the future. Back at the table, the interrogation continues as mom sips her wine and asks how they met. Even when the aunt tries to defend our girl, the mom remains a literal glacier. She drops the ultimate tiger mom line, saying she doesn't care about the process or her daughter's feelings, only the results. It's a harsh reminder that for this woman, everything is just a business transaction. Keela remembers how her mom was always this cold, even during the divorce. She lies in bed feeling totally empty, wondering why having her mom back feels even more lonely than before. Suddenly, her phone buzzes and her heart does a backflip because it's a call from Yanshu. He wants to know if she's busy tomorrow. He invites her to the amusement park and straight up calls it a date, leaving our heroine absolutely reeling. She can't even process what's happening and swoons into her pillow. She spends the next morning wondering if she's actually dreaming. She has to pinch her own face to make sure the pain is real. She makes it to the park and there he is, waiting for her with that heart-melting smile. Yanshu starts the date by teasing our girl, claiming he nearly died of impatience while waiting for her. She isn't having it though, calling him out for being a big fat liar since she's right on time. He just laughs off his antics, and the mood shifts instantly as he reaches out to pull her close, their hands interlocking in the softest way. With a gentle "let's go," he leads the way, leaving our heroine blushing like crazy as she follows his lead. Meanwhile, at a nearby hotel, a mysterious woman is on the phone, noting how much a boy named Keela is starting to look like him. She wonders if that's even a good thing. While back at the amusement park, the couple spins around in giant teacups. The fun doesn't stop there, but while our girl is having the time of her life, poor Yanshu looks like he's about to see his soul leave his body from the motion sickness. They put on some adorable mouse ears for a selfie, though our girl is horrified by how ugly she thinks she looks in the shot. She begs him to delete it, but he just stares at the photo with a look of pure adoration, saying he actually really likes it. That one line is enough to make her heart do backflips, her face turning a bright shade of red. As night falls, they head to the Ferris wheel to soak in the romantic atmosphere. The view from the top is absolutely stunning, with fireworks beginning to paint the sky in vibrant colors. Our heroine is completely mesmerized by the lights, her eyes sparkling with pure joy. But Yanshu isn't looking at the sky. His gaze is locked entirely on her, his expression heavy with unspoken emotions. Memories of their past together start flooding back, like the time he held her so protectively in his arms, or the moments they spent running through the night, never wanting to let go of each other's hands. Every hug they shared felt like they were the only two people left in the world. Every tender moment felt like it only happened yesterday, the connection between them deeper than words could describe. Back in the present, she notices his sudden silence and asks what's on his mind. Suddenly, Yanshu stands up and leans in close, trapping her against the glass as he finally drops the bombshell. He wants them to start dating for real. Her heart is beating so loud she's sure he can hear it, and she can barely breathe under his intense stare. She tries to find her voice to respond, but he stops her, saying there's one more thing he needs to confess first. He asks nervously if she'd be mad if he lied to her, and she honestly replies that it really depends on what the lie was about. Taking a deep breath, he prepares to reveal his biggest secret, that Yanshu isn't actually his real name. But of course, the universe chooses the worst possible moment to interrupt as a staff member ruins the mood by announcing their time is up. Once they're back on the ground, she tries to circle back to his confession, curious about what he was going to say. But the moment is gone, and Yanshu loses his nerve just as her phone starts ringing off the hook. It's her cousin, reminding her that they need to hurry over to the university to catch her mother's big speech. They rush over to the hall, the atmosphere shifting from romantic to serious in an instant. Our girl is excited to formally introduce Yanshu to her mother, hoping this meeting goes better than their last rushed encounter. She watches with pride as her mom takes the stage, starring a lecture on a complicated financial case. She whispers to Yanshu about how amazing her mom is, fully expecting him to be impressed. But the mood turns ice cold when her mom mentions the defendant's name, Yi Changming, a man currently on the run for fraud. As her mother details the legal responsibilities of the case, the color completely drains from Yanshu's face. His hands start trembling uncontrollably as the dark reality of his past begins to collide with his present. Sensing his distress, our heroine asks what's wrong, but Yanshu is already trapped in a nightmare of memories. He remembers being a young boy, crying in the rain while strangers pointed and whispered that his father destroyed an entire family. The trauma of his childhood comes rushing back, the weight of his father's sins threatening to crush him. As the speech concludes, her mother expresses hope that the suspect will be brought to justice soon. Unable to take another second, Yanshu abruptly stands up, desperate to escape the room. Our girl is confused and hurt, grabbing his sleeve and asking why he's leaving without meeting her mom. But he coldly shakes her off, his eyes dark and distant. He tells her there's no need and that he has something else to do, leaving her standing there in shock. Desperate to fix things, she shouts after him that she finally has an answer to his confession from earlier. She's about to say she agrees to be his girlfriend, but he cuts her off with a voice as cold as ice. Without even looking back, he tells her he doesn't need her answer anymore, leaving our poor heroine completely heartbroken. Keela is absolutely reeling, demanding to know if everything they shared was just a big fat lie. This absolute menace just smirks and gives her a cold, soul-crushing yeah. He has the audacity to ask if she had fun being played with, so our girl delivers the slap of the century. Her heart is shattered into a million pieces as the reality of his betrayal finally sinks. She screams that he's a total liar and storms off, leaving him with a stinging cheek and a heavy silence. She tries to play it cool, telling herself she doesn't care about a loser like him. But as she walks away, the savage bravado starts to crumble. Suddenly, the air feels too thin and she realizes she can barely even breathe. Our poor heroine collapses in a corner, finally letting the tears fall in a heartbreaking sob. Meanwhile, the ground is littered with evidence of someone else's spiraling misery. Yiling is chain-smoking his regrets away, looking like a total mess in the moonlight. His sister calls him out on his self-destructive behavior, knowing full well he's actually head over heels for Keela. He's drowning in guilt, questioning why their lives had to be so cursed from the start. His sister reminds him that unlike their father, he actually has a choice to be a better person. But he's convinced he's a horrible person who only knows how to hurt the people he loves. He's paralyzed by the past, unable to move forward with the one girl who actually matters. His sister isn't buying the pity party, pointing out that they're both stuck in the same cycle of pain. Ultimately, he decides that a criminal's son like him has no business being near someone as bright as her. Back at home, Keela is a literal puddle of tears while staring at their happiest memories on her phone. She decides it's time to purge the pain and hovers her finger over the delete button. It's just a photo of a liar, she tells herself, but her eyes are red and swollen from the effort. She tries to find peace in the fact that loving someone isn't a crime, even if it was the wrong person. All she wants is enough time to finally scrub him from her mind forever. Little does she know, the man of her nightmares is standing right outside her window like a tragic ghost. He's lurking in the shadows, unable to stay away but too broken to actually come inside. Fast forward to winter break, and Keela is burying herself in work at the library to stay busy. Her friend is just happy she's doing something meaningful instead of moping in bed. But the trauma is real, and she thinks she sees that familiar face in every corner of the room. She has to rub her eyes to realize it's just a random stranger passing by. She's frustrated that her brain is still playing these chaotic tricks on her. Just as she's wondering when she'll finally be free of his memory, she fumbles a stack of books. A mysterious hand catches them and look who it is. The handsome, silver-haired senior is finally back. He's fresh from the US and looking better than ever, much to her surprise. He's even brought gifts for the girls, making our heroine feel a little less lonely. But he's not just here for small talk, he asks to speak with her privately. He confesses that he finally realized they went to the same junior high and feels terrible for not recognizing her sooner. He gets intense, saying he deeply regrets missing his chance with her back then. He asks for a fresh start, introducing himself properly as Bai Yi Ran with a charming smile. As they part ways, he leaves her with a look that says he's definitely not giving up on her. Keela is left totally confused, wondering what on earth that heavy confession was all about. Lost in thought, she turns a corner and slams right into a guy in a hoodie. She looks up and her heart stops. It's Yiling, and the tension is officially through the roof. Our girl spots the hoodie-clad Yanshu lurking nearby, and she's genuinely shocked to see him out and about. He tries to play it cool, acting like he just happened to be passing by her workplace, but we all know that's a total lie. He promises our heroine he'll be back next semester once his family drama settles down, and she's visibly relieved to hear he isn't dropping out. She flashes him a bright smile that clearly hits him right in the feels. But as they walk, the weight of their past words hangs heavy in the air, even with the memory of their last fight ringing in his ears. She kindly offers to share her notes to help him catch up on everything he missed. They pass by a bar and the mood shifts from casual to intense in a heartbeat. Yanshu looks like a kicked puppy as he finally finds the courage to apologize for being such a jerk during their last encounter. Our poor heroine isn't one to hold a grudge, accepting his apology with a soft, forgiving look. She promises to hand over the notes as soon as she can find them, feeling a bit guilty that she hasn't sorted through her academic chaos yet. But Yanshu doesn't mind at all. He's just happy for any excuse to stay in contact with her. She waves a cheerful goodbye, thinking the awkwardness is finally behind them. But then she hears a friend calling his name and freezes in her tracks. She turns back, her heart racing as she sees him heading into the very place she just left. She stands there in a cold sweat, wondering if she should go back or just keep walking. The internal struggle is real as she grips his skirt, wondering if he even noticed her watching him from the shadows. She hesitates, her head spinning with what-ifs as she looks back one last time. Watching him through the window, she feels a sudden, sharp pang of rejection. She can't help but wonder if he's actually trying to avoid her. The thought that he might never want to see her again absolutely stings our girl's heart. Meanwhile, Yanshu is drowning in his own cowardice, admitting to himself that he's too afraid to face the truth of his feelings. That night, Keela tosses and turns in bed, her mind a total battlefield. She regrets being so harsh with Yiling earlier that day, realizing her attitude was way too rash. Trying to act calm while her heart is in shambles is honestly the worst thing ever. To clear her head, she meets up with her bestie, Kayan, at the local food street for some much-needed retail therapy. They're busy scouting out the best snacks when a familiar face pops up out of nowhere. It's a handsome senior, and he's definitely not alone. A cute girl is clinging to his arm, and she immediately starts marking her territory. But before the drama can even start, the senior quickly sets the record straight. She's just his chaotic little sister. They end up hanging out as a group, and the senior is being a total gentleman while they play games. It's all fun and prizes until the sister spots some candy and runs off to join the line. Left alone with the senior, our girl gets all flustered as he tries to be sweet. She tries to keep it together while clutching her cotton candy, but her blushing face is a dead giveaway. Little does she know the sister is already playing matchmaker on the phone. She's reporting back to Yiling, stirring the pot by calling Keela his girlfriend just to see him squirm. Yiling tries to act like he doesn't care, but his serious expression says otherwise. As the senior and Keela walk side by side through the crowd, the sister drops the ultimate bombshell on the phone. Her brother definitely has a massive crush on our heroine. He works up the courage to ask if she'll watch the fireworks with him tonight. Our girl is a bit dense and tries to invite her friend along, but Bai Yiran isn't playing around and asks if it can just be the two of them. Keela is completely stunned by the direct approach. He admits that he's always cared for her, finally making his feelings crystal clear. Little do they know, Yanshu is lurking in the shadows like a heartbroken ghost. He's in a terrible mood, especially after hearing that Bai Yiran is making a move. Back on the bench, Keela can't believe her ears. Bai Yiran starts reminiscing about the first time he saw her in the school corridors. He remembers her falling flat on her face and how she just stood back up with so much spirit. He even saw her heroically defending a friend from a bully back in the day. She was such a savage little protector. He confesses he actually thought she was a boy back then because of her short hair. Keela is low-key offended that her haircut made that much of a difference. But he quickly recovers, telling her she's the most special person in his heart. Our girl looks like she's actually considering it. Suddenly, Yanshu interrupts the vibe by claiming his previous confession was just a big joke. He asks if she enjoyed the prank, which makes her absolutely livid. Turning back to Bai Yiran, she decides to accept his invitation. She's officially going to see the fireworks with him. He's so excited he practically glows and runs off to buy snacks. But as soon as he's gone, Keela starts second-guessing everything. Before she can overthink any further, a hand suddenly snatches her wrist. It's Yanshu, and he looks absolutely miserable. Our heroine is shocked by his sudden appearance. He insists that they need to talk right now. He warns her that she shouldn't be hanging out with Bai Yiran. But our girl has reached her limit and yells at him to stop bossing her around. Yanshu looks like he's about to break. Keela starts tearing up, tired of the emotional whiplash. Seeing her cry, Yanshu loses all his cool and pulls her into a tight embrace. Of course, that's exactly when Bai Yiran returns with the snacks and sees the whole thing. He stands there completely shattered, watching the girl he likes in another man's arms. Keela manages to shake Yanshu off and tries to run away. Yanshu tries to grab her again, but Bai Yiran has seen enough and lands a massive punch right on his jaw. He demands to know what the hell Yanshu did to make her cry. He's absolutely savage, ready to protect her at any cost. Yanshu takes the hit, his face bruised and bloody. Bai Yiran is disgusted by how much Yanshu has changed. But Yanshu fires back, saying they are the ones who turned him into this. He admits his father is a criminal, but asks why his whole family has to suffer for it. He doesn't want anyone's pity, and tells Bai Yiran to just let go. He walks away, leaving a heavy silence behind. Later that night, the fireworks finally start. Keela is sitting all by herself at the riverbank, looking completely lost. Her friend eventually finds her and sits down to comfort her. The friend confesses that she was the one who called Yanshu over, hoping to make him jealous. She admits she totally messed up the plan. Keela is just exhausted by all the drama. But then her friend asks if she's ready to hear the actual truth. Keela is hesitant but knows she needs to know. The friend warns her that the truth is going to hurt. Our girl steels herself and demands to know everything. Then comes the bombshell. Yanshu's father killed the friend's dad, and Keela's own mother was the lawyer who put him away. Keela is frozen in shock as the pieces finally fit together. She realizes why Yanshu's attitude changed so drastically. All this time, he was suffering in silence while she was boasting about her amazing lawyer mom. Our poor girl breaks down in tears, realizing that she was the one who hurt him the most. Our girl is caught in a high-stakes dinner where her mom finally drops a massive bombshell. She's finished her business in China and is officially packing her bags. But then comes the real kicker. She wants our heroine to move to the US with her. Our poor girl is absolutely floored, barely able to process the invitation while her mom calmly wipes her mouth. Apparently, the schools over there are a better fit, but she's giving her a little time to think it over. On the surface, our heroine is thrilled to finally be with her mother. But as she looks away, a heavy, suffocating sense of loss starts to settle. Meanwhile, things are getting incredibly heavy on the other side of the tracks as a mysterious man drops to his knees in a dark alley. He's sobbing his heart out in front of a stunned Yu. Back at home, Yanshu is just trying to get through the daily chores. But the peace is shattered when his sister walks in looking like she's seen a ghost. She delivers the news that changes everything. Their father has finally turned himself into the authorities. Yanshu can't believe his ears, the sheer shock written all over his face. They rush to the police station immediately, desperate for answers. But the officer shuts them down, explaining that they aren't allowed a visitation just yet. Yanshu nervously asks if his father's at least holding up okay. As they walk away from the station, the weight of the family's sins hangs heavy in the air. Yanshu is totally confused as to why their father would suddenly surrender after all this time. That's when Yu confesses the savage truth. She's the one who pushed him to finally do the right thing. She laments that while they can't choose their parents, they have to endure the path they've been given. Yanshu tries to be the rock she needs, promising her that things will eventually get better for them. Back with our girl, she says her goodbyes to her mom for the night, still reeling from the move. But as soon as she's gone, Mom pulls out a mysterious folder. Inside is a photo of the girl herself, proving that there are still plenty of secrets lurking in the shadows. Walking home, our heroine spots a US flag, and the reality of leaving her life behind starts to sink in. She wonders what kind of place the States really is. Will she even like it, or will she be counting the days until she can return? At the prison, the father finally faces his children through the glass partition. He looks weary and full of regret as he picks up the phone. Yu can't hold back the tears, finally letting out all the pain she's been carrying for years. After the visit, they run into their friend who has been waiting outside the station. Yu approaches her with a somber, determined expression. She confirms that justice is finally being served for what happened to the other girl's father. The two girls share a tearful, healing hug as they finally find some semblance of peace in this chaotic mess. Later that night, our heroine stops by the local convenience store to clear her head. She realizes she hasn't seen Yanshu's sister at work and starts to worry. Just then, she spots a familiar figure carrying a guitar case through the city lights. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she sneaks into a nearby club, looking left and right to avoid being spotted. She tries to play it cool, ordering a juice while scanning the stage. Suddenly, the lights hit the stage, and there's Yu, looking like a total rock star. Our girl is absolutely mesmerized by her incredible singing voice. Yu tells the crowd that her brother was the one who gave her the courage to chase her dreams again. Our heroine's heart skips a beat as she wonders if Yanshu is lurking somewhere in the building. And just like that, the man himself steps into the spotlight, looking effortlessly handsome with a mic in hand. As he begins to sing, the lyrics seem to perfectly capture the foam and waves of their complicated lives. The crowd erupts in cheers as the performance ends, but Yanshu looks like his mind is a million miles away. He snapped back to reality when his sister calls out to him, but the festive mood isn't reaching his heart. One of the band members offers him a drink to celebrate, yet he remains completely out of it. Everyone around him is basking in the glow of success, but all he can see is the ghost of a memory. He watches the joy of his friends and can't help but feel a heavy weight in his chest. He remembers our girl Keela's tearful face, screaming that he only treats her this way because he knows she likes him. The guilt starts to eat at him, wondering if he truly crossed the line and broke her heart. While the rest of the crew is busy singing their hearts out, Yanshu pulls out his phone, unable to take it anymore. He sees a call coming in from Sprite, his nickname for the girl who's been driving him crazy. Keela picks up with a soft hello, and Yanshu immediately feels the pressure to fix things. He tries to apologize over the phone, but Keela isn't having it. She demands he say it to her face. He humbles himself, admitting he was selfish and completely ignored her feelings. Keela suddenly raises a glass of wine, ready to drown her sorrows and have a drink with him for once. Yanshu immediately goes into protective mode, reminding her that she's still underage and shouldn't be touching alka. Our savage heroine isn't taking orders today, asking him exactly who he thinks he is to boss her around. She stares him down, her eyes filled with a mix of hurt and defiance. She confesses that despite everything, she realizes she knows absolutely nothing about his past or his family. Yanshu is visibly shaken, realizing he's been keeping her at arm's length for far too long. But Keela cuts him off, stating that none of that even matters anymore. We see a flashback to earlier that day when she was on the phone with her mom, making a life-changing decision. She stood her ground, refusing to be shipped off to the US against her will. She has things she wants to do and a person she's not ready to leave behind. In a burst of chaotic energy, she screams her confession right at him, "I like you." Yanshu is absolutely stunned into silence, while Keela turns into a bright red tomato from the embarrassment. She's determined to chase after him and won't let anything stop her now. Suddenly, a waitress interrupts the high drama to point out that the wine she's been drinking is actually just juice. The realization hits Keela like a freight train, and she realizes she just confessed while being completely sober. Yanshu can't help but look at her with newfound intensity. Dying of embarrassment, our girl tries to make a run for it, but Yanshu isn't letting her escape this time. He catches her and pulls her into a firm, protective hug that makes her heart skip a beat. Keela struggles, still trying to play it cool despite being trapped in his arms. She demands to know why he thinks he can still boss her around after all this drama. Yanshu just smiles down at her, whispering that from now on, he's never letting her go again. Meanwhile, poor Kayan is trying to find peace in her own room, listening to music to drown out the world. Her mom comes in with a glass of milk, but the atmosphere is incredibly tense. There's a look of hesitation on her mother's face before she drops a total bombshell. She calmly announces that she's decided to get married again. Kayan is blindsided, asking which stranger is about to become her new stepfather. Her mom explains it's Uncle Lei and that they should all have dinner together to make it official. When Kayan asks if there's even any love involved, her mom's expression goes cold. She admits it's purely a business move that will be beneficial for their future. The glass shatters as Kayan breaks down, screaming that her mother never considered how this would affect her. She flees the room in tears, feeling like her world is crumbling under the weight of her mom's ambition. She feels like a tiny, lonely planet drifting through a cold and uncaring galaxy. Later that night, Keela is startled out of her thoughts by a sudden knock at the door. She was still busy swooning over her hug with Yanshu and trying to process her feelings. She cautiously checks to see who's visiting at this hour. It's a heartbroken Kayan, sobbing her eyes out and needing a place to hide. Keela immediately takes her in, already having called her mom to let her know she's safe. The two friends huddle under the covers, sharing a quiet moment of solidarity. Keela reassures her that she'd be genuinely angry if Kayan hadn't come to her for help. Kayan looks at her, wondering how Keela would handle such a mess. Our heroine takes a moment to think it over. She gently explains that while her mom has her own life to live, Kayan's life belongs to her too. She encourages her friend not to let anyone else's choices dictate her own happiness. As they drift off to sleep, the weight of their choices hangs heavy in the air. Elsewhere, Yanshu finally tosses his glasses into the trash, signaling the end of his double life. He washes his face, preparing to face the truth and the consequences of his lies. He resolves to tell Keela the truth, that Yanshu and Yiling are one and the same. Even if she hates him for the deception, he's determined to win her heart all over again. Breakfast is served, but our girl's peaceful morning is interrupted by a ringing phone. It's the handsome senior, Bai Yiran, calling to invite her to their junior high's big celebration. He's looking as charming as ever, and Keela can't help but agree to go. Her friend is already smelling a romance in the air, asking if this is finally the big move. She gives our heroine some solid advice. It's time to stop pleasing everyone else and finally follow her heart. Keela knows she has to be honest with him today. At the school, Bai Yiran is the star of the stage, making every girl in the audience swoon with his perfect grades and looks. But Keela just feels like nothing has really changed since they were kids. He leads her away from the crowds for a private stroll, ignoring the jealous whispers of the students who think she's his girlfriend. As they walk along the track, he starts reminiscing about his basketball days. Suddenly, he drops a bombshell, confessing that he's always watched her from the court and that he actually likes her. Our girl doesn't let the tension linger, immediately thanking him but delivering a savage rejection. He's heartbroken but admits he expected this. Keela explains that she can't be with him because she's seen the way his eyes sparkle, and it's never been for her. She remembers seeing him look at someone else with true passion back in the day. He's left standing there, realizing he completely missed his chance. But as he watches her go, he realizes he's seen that same sparkle in her eyes too, except she was looking at Yiling. Later, our girl is rocking a red hoodie and texting stupid Yiling while heading out. On the other side of the screen, Yiling is actually smiling at her messages, ready to reveal everything to her. But disaster strikes when Keela accidentally bumps into an old woman on the street. The poor grandma is hurt and bleeding, so our heroine jumps into action to help. She rushes the lady to the hospital, completely forgetting about her own plans. While waiting, she realizes she's going to be late and tries to send a quick text. The grandma is so grateful for the help and asks for Keela's name and school so she can properly thank her. It turns out to be a massive coincidence because the grandma's grandson goes to the exact same school. Keela's heart skips a beat when the lady reveals her grandson is none other than Yiling. She's internally screaming while trying to stay calm and help get the medicine. But the chaos peaks when Yiling himself bursts into the room with another girl. He's worried sick about his grandma, who immediately starts bragging about the cute girl who saved her. When the grandma mentions the name and Keela, Yiling freezes. The shock is so intense that Keela drops the medicine right on the floor. She looks up, whispering his name in total disbelief. Yiling turns around, looking absolutely stunned to see his crush standing right there with his family. Just when our girl thinks she's safe, a random guy recognizes her as the girl Yiling is totally into. She's absolutely mortified and wishes she could just disappear into the floorboards right now. Panicked, she drops into a crouch, trying to hide her face while clutching her supplies. She scrambles to pick up her things, her heart doing backflips in her chest. She's trying to stay undercover, but her bright red hoodie isn't exactly helping her blend in. Finally, she stands her ground and hands over the medicine for Yiling's grandma, trying to keep it professional despite the chaos. "Give this to her," she blurts out, her voice probably shaking more than she'd like to admit. Without waiting for a response, she dumps the rest of the meds and makes a literal run for it. Yiling is left standing there completely stunned as she bolts away like her life depends on it. He's not letting her go that easily though, shouting for her to wait as he chases her down the stairs. She finally stops, but the tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. As she turns her head, the realization starts to sink in and her eyes go wide with shock. She looks at him, seeing the cool guy and the nerdy guy finally merging into one person in her mind. The betrayal of the lie starts to sting, and our poor heroine can't help but let a few tears escape. It finally clicks. The two guys with completely different vibes that have been messing with her head this whole time are actually the exact same person. She looks back and forth between the two versions of him in her head, feeling like a total fool for not seeing it sooner. And the worst part, he's known all along that she had a massive crush on one of his identities. She realizes he's been watching her struggle with her feelings this entire time. Our girl is so embarrassed she wants to hide inside her beanie forever because he literally knew everything. Yiling finally breaks the silence, calling out her name with a look of genuine regret. He tries to explain himself, claiming he was totally planning on telling her the truth eventually. But his timing was trash, and now she's found out in the most awkward way possible. She stares him down, demanding to know how much longer he was going to keep her in the dark. He offers a sincere apology, admitting he never actually wanted to lie to her. He confesses that since meeting her, she's the only person he's ever felt like being truly honest with. Our girl isn't having it and demands to know why. He opens up about the heavy burden of his family's debt and how he's used to people hating him once they know the truth. Even if she hates him for his messy history, he says he's okay with it. She clenches her fists, her anger bubbling over because he's completely missing the point. She screams that she could never hate him for his family's situation, but she's furious that he didn't trust her enough to tell her. Yiling looks at her, hope finally flickering in his eyes as he realizes she doesn't care about his past. He tentatively asks the million-dollar question, "Do you still like me?" She shouts a resounding yeah, before her tsundere side kicks in and she immediately claims she doesn't like him anymore. Yiling's face drops in a pure heartbreak, thinking he's actually lost her for good this time. She keeps her back turned, letting him sweat for a few agonizing seconds. He starts spiraling, losing all his confidence and feeling like a total failure. But then she shouts, "Just kidding," and flashes him a savage little wink that confirms she's still totally smitten. She leaves him with a cheeky tongue poke, telling him she'll see his handsome face at school tomorrow. Back at home, the mood takes a sharp turn into serious territory as she sits down with her mom. Her mom asks the big question, why on earth does she want to stay in China instead of going to the US? Keela tries to act casual while sipping her tea, but her face is glowing like a light bulb. Mom doesn't miss a beat and asks if there's a boy involved, causing our girl to literally spit her tea across the room. She yells "Mom" in total embarrassment, but her mom just smiles, saying it's actually sweet to have someone you like. Then the vibe gets chillingly quiet as Mom says it's time for Keela to know the real truth. Keela wonders if this is about Yiling's dad, but the reality is way more shocking. Mom drops the first bomb. Both of Keela's biological parents are actually alive and in the US. Our girl is frozen in place, her brain trying to process a lifetime of lies in a single second. Her mom looks away, her eyes full of a sadness she's been hiding for years. She confesses that her coldness over the years had a heartbreaking reason. Then comes the ultimate twist. She's not Keela's birth mother at all, she's actually her aunt. Keela's world completely shatters as she gasps out, "What are you saying?" We get a flashback to a hospital where a young couple is holding a newborn baby. It's baby Keela, born with those same bright golden eyes. She was even clutching a bottle of Coke as a baby, which is literally how she got her name. Her aunt reveals that her parents were heroes who passed away while serving at an international rescue center. She took Keela back to China to raise her, promising they would meet again one day. The aunt admits she was irresponsible and distant because every time she looked at Keela, she saw her dead brother's face. Our poor heroine is absolutely sobbing now, the weight of her entire identity shifting in an instant. A hand reaches out to comfort her, trying to mend the years of silence. The aunt finally pulls her into a tearful hug, apologizing for keeping the secret for so long. Later, Keela is hanging out with Yiling at a convenience store, trying to find some normalcy. She can't help but stare at him with hearts in her eyes, completely smitten by his presence. Yiling finds it hilarious that a girl named Coke is sitting there drinking a Sprite. He tells her she's incredibly interesting, which earns him a playful "don't make fun of me." She gives him a light smack for being a tease, but then the mood shifts back to being deep. She asks him if there are things he just can't understand at their age. Yiling opens up, admitting he feels like a kid compared to his sister, who handles all the adult responsibilities like bills and groceries. He feels completely powerless because he can't help her with any of it. Keela looks at him with soft, understanding eyes, seeing the boy behind the mask. She asks him to turn around for a second because she has something she finally needs to say. Keela drops a bombshell, admitting she just found out she's not actually her mother's biological daughter. It feels like a plot straight out of a tragic drama, and she's so overwhelmed she begs Yiling not to look at her. She doesn't want him to see her at her weakest, breaking down into tears as the reality of her life shifts. Our girl finally lets it all out, sobbing that she refuses to let him see her cry like this. But Yiling isn't going anywhere, pulling her into a protective, warm embrace. He tells her to do whatever she needs to do, promising that no matter what, he will be right here waiting for her. Poor Keela can only clutch onto him, her heart shattering as she prepares for a massive change. They share one last, bittersweet moment together before the distance pulls them apart. Later, Yiling's sister is absolutely floored to hear that Keela is actually leaving for the United States. She can't believe her brother is just letting her go without a fight. She's already mourning his love life, convinced he's going to end up a lonely, loyal bachelor forever. But Yiling just smiles, knowing that Keela gave up on her dreams once for him, and he'll never be the one to hold her back again. Meanwhile, Keela is busy packing her life into suitcases with her mom's help. As she folds her clothes, her mind is a whirlwind of memories and what-ifs. She finds an old photo that stops her in her tracks. It's a snapshot of a school activity, a reminder of the simpler times when they were all just kids pulling bamboo shoots. She whispers a silent thank you to her friends for giving her such precious, happy memories to carry across the ocean. The day finally arrives, and the airport is filled with the dramatic wails of her besties who aren't ready to say goodbye. While everyone else is making a scene, Yiling stands back, watching her with a look that could melt stone. It's time to board, and her friend nudges her toward the gate for the final walk. Keela starts walking, but her heart is heavy, her eyes searching the crowd. She's internally panicking, wondering why Yiling hasn't come over to say one last thing. Is he angry? Did she mess everything up by choosing her future over him? She feels like a total flake, ready to leave without a proper goodbye. But suddenly a familiar hand catches hers, stopping her in her tracks. Her friends are left blinking in confusion, wondering where she disappeared to in the blink of an eye. Under a shower of imaginary petals, the world slows down for just the two of them. He pulls her in close, his gaze intense and full of promise. And then he leans in for a breathtaking, cinematic goodbye kiss that seals their fate. He whispers that he'll be waiting for the day she returns, and Keela finally smiles through her tears. With a final promise, she heads toward her new life. Fast forward a few years, and the vibe at the university is electric. The local fangirls are absolutely losing their minds over the campus legends. It turns out Yiling and his buddy Bai Yiran are the ultimate package. Tall, handsome, and gods on the basketball court. They aren't just pretty faces either, they're top-tier students who skipped grades just to show off. Yiran teases Yiling about how hard he's been working lately. He points out that ever since Keela left for the States, Yiling has been a man on a mission. He asks if they've been in touch, but Yiling's expression suddenly turns cold and brooding. He's clearly missing his girl more than he'd ever admit out loud. He tries to call her, but Keela gives him the cold shoulder, claiming she's way too busy to talk. She hangs up on him so fast it leaves his head spinning. Yiling is left staring at his phone, wondering what on earth is going on with her lately. But wait, our girl is actually back in town and playing a dangerous game of spy. Clad in a hat and shades, she's lurking around the corner, planning a massive surprise for her man. She overhears some random girls gossiping about how the department beauty just got rejected by Yiling. Hearing that other girls are still throwing themselves at him makes her blood boil. She decides it's time to stir the pot and see if he's really been as loyal as he claims. She marches right up to him and screams his name in front of everyone. Yiling turns around, looking completely baffled by this stranger causing a scene. She points a finger at him, calling him a total player at the top of her lungs. She demands an explanation for him playing with her heart, going full drama queen mode. She's internally cackling, wanting to see him squirm under the gaze of the gossiping crowd. The other students are totally judging her, thinking she's just another crazy girl trying to get his attention. But Yiling just gives her this smug, knowing smirk. He crosses his arms, asking her exactly what she plans to do about his player behavior. Keela realizes her plan is backfiring fast and she panics, blurting out that she hates him. She tries to make a run for it, embarrassed that her big gotcha moment failed. But he's way too fast, grabbing her arm before she can escape. He effortlessly swipes off her sunglasses, exposing her blushing face to the world. Our girl is caught red-handed, trembling as he looms over her. He pulls her into a tight embrace, whispering that no matter how she disguises herself, he'd recognize his girl anywhere. He's basically trying to feed her enough to last a winter hibernation. Our girl is struggling to keep up with his aggressive snack-buying habits, even if he thinks she's gotten too thin. But the food coma is interrupted when her friend, Keela, suddenly appears in the crowd. They share a massive hug while a suspicious-looking guy in a hoodie looms in the background. Wait, is that a stalker? Nope, it's just the famous Yanzu trying to go incognito. The girls are absolutely shook to see a superstar just chilling on the street like a regular person. But he's begging them to keep it on the down low before a literal riot starts. He's bored out of his mind in the studio and just wants to hang out for a while. After a quick negotiation, the group decides to head over to the central garden for a performance. The stage is set and the music starts pumping through the chilly air. As the crowd swells, our heroine finds herself getting lost in the rhythm of the performance. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and grabs her shoulder in the middle of the pack. It's Yanzu, keeping her close so she doesn't get swept away by the massive crowd. A blush creeps up her face just as the first flakes of snow begin to fall from the night sky. But the piece doesn't last long because the crowd finally spots the celebrity in their midst. The fans go absolutely feral the second they realize it's really him. Yiling realizes they're about to be trampled by a stampede of fangirls and yells for them to run for their lives. He grabs her hand and they bolt through the snowy night to find some cover. It feels like a scene straight out of a movie as they leave the chaos behind. Under the glow of the full moon, everything finally slows down for a heart-to-heart. He pulls her into a tender embrace, shielding her from the biting cold. Yiling looks at her with a gaze that could melt an iceberg. Our girl finally gathers her courage and drops the big L word right then and there. He gives her a soft smile, looking more handsome than he has any right to be without his glasses. She stares into his eyes, realizing just how deep her feelings go. And finally, under the sparkling Christmas tree, they share the perfect kiss. It's a moment of pure magic that feels like it'll last forever. But life doesn't stop for romance, and Kayan is up next to prove her worth. She's filling in as a substitute weather host, and she's shaking like a leaf behind the scenes. Our girl watches from the curtains, cheering her on like the supportive bestie she is. Kayan absolutely nails it, looking like a total pro on camera. Afterward, our girl is quick to shower her with all the praise she deserves. Kayan is humble as always, but she's definitely found her calling in the spotlight. Meanwhile, the news breaks that Yanzu has officially won the Best New Musician award. The director is practically glowing with pride over his star pupil's massive success. The girls are there to celebrate, but the atmosphere gets a little awkward. Kayan is so shy she tries to phase out of existence to avoid the spotlight. She even resorts to hiding her face behind a book to avoid the director's attention. But the staff has other plans and drags the girls off to help with a wardrobe check. They need someone with the perfect height to test out the new costumes for the program. And just like that, our girl is transformed into the world's most adorable cat girl. Between the red skirt and the cat ears, she's serving pure lethal cuteness. Kayan is rocking the bunny look, proving they make quite the chaotic duo. The outfits are a total hit, even if the girls feel a little embarrassed by the ruffles. Every detail is on point, from the stockings to the heels. Even Yanzu is left speechless by the transformation. But then Yiling walks in and sees his girl looking like a literal snack. She freezes, wondering why on earth he's here right now of all times. Her face turns a bright shade of crimson as she tries to process the situation. He can't help but chuckle at how shy she's being in those ears. But he doesn't tease her for long, pulling her into a warm hug instead. He whispers that she looks amazing and that he likes her the most, no matter what she's wearing. Follow the signs to the wedding of the century because the big day is finally here. Our groom stands at the altar, looking a bit nervous as he waits for his chaotic queen to make her grand entrance. Her bestie is in the crowd giving him the fighting sign because she knows exactly how much of a handful our girl can be. Honestly, looking this handsome should be illegal, but he's keeping it together for the guests. He welcomes everyone to the ceremony, officially starting his life with Keela. Meanwhile, backstage is a total disaster zone because our poor heroine actually overslept on her own wedding day. She's pouting while the stylists work overtime, claiming she's just way too busy with work to keep track of the time. The groom can't help but reminisce about how reckless she's been since the very first day they met. He thought their first encounter was a fated, beautiful accident. But then he saw her at school, looking like a grumpy nerd who wanted to bite his head off. Back then, he wasn't exactly the Prince Charming type either. He remembers her being anything but cute with that savage attitude. Our girl is literally screaming backstage because how dare he call her not cute during his speech. But his heart melts anyway because he realized long ago that he could never let her go. Even though she's stubborn and clumsy, she was always the one there to patch up his wounds when things got rough. To him, she is the most gentle and beautiful soul in the world. They've been through the ringer, even getting separated at one point, but fate luckily brought them back together. Keela is a sobbing mess behind the curtain, telling him to stop being so cheesy before she ruins her makeup. He just smiles, knowing her expressions have always helped him through his darkest moments. Her friends try to calm her down, reminding her that she needs to smile for the photos on such a happy day. She takes a deep breath, flashing that radiant smile that captured his heart in the first place. She steps out looking like an absolute goddess in her floral detailed gown. Every detail is perfect, from the delicate lace to the elegant ribbons trailing behind her. She walks down the aisle in her sparkling shoes, moving toward her forever. They stand together at the altar, and the groom looks at her like she's the only person in the entire universe. He gives her the warmest smile, ready to spend the rest of his life by her side. The priest begins the vows, asking the question we've all been waiting for. The ring is brought forward, sparkling with the promise of a lifetime. He slides the band onto her finger, sealing their souls together as they hold hands. They stand tall together, a perfect match against the world. With a final, breathy "I do," the deal is officially done. They share a swoon-worthy kiss as the story of the world's most unique flower finally reaches its happy ending. This is the end of their long journey, but just the beginning of their forever. From schoolyard brawls to the wedding altar, they've always been each other's person, and they lived happily ever after.